Okay, so guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing on our guests to talk about how female friendly is StarCraft. StarCraft is an older community, and with age comes maturity. But how does that translate to dealing with female players? Is our community as mature as we believe? And to join us, we have Atira, Alaris, and Zombie Grub. Everybody's revealed. Welcome, 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 welcome to the show, ladies. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good
to be here.
Unfortunately, Zergo could not join us today because she got called away for PAX. So she got called away for some PAX stuff last minute and had to dip. So, but that's why we have 3 other guests to help us get perspective. I think one of the key things that I'm hoping for us to, and I wanted to clarify even for our audience out there, one of the key things for this is not to lambaste StarCraft or to praise it in any one direction, but to gain perspective from a different point of view that, I would imagine majority of the audience and community is unaware of. Like I am unaware of. I don't know all the different trials and tribulations of being a female in StarCraft. And I'm hoping that by the end of this, we'll have a complete different perspective.
We'll have solved the entire thing by the end of this.
Like a Rubik's Cube,
Clearly.
which I can't solve Rubik's Cube. So, oh my God. Was that actually a legit Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, I'll teach you.
You will you? Okay, the next esports party, which we should be having soon. All right, so I think easiest thing to just jump out with a sort of a general question, and we'll kind of lead into it. But let's start with some origin stories. Like, why don't we start, Annie? Like, what is the moment you decided you're going to be a part of StarCraft? Like, where were you when you decided? Like, describe in detail. Like, when you decided you were going to be part of the StarCraft community.
I like how you're like closing your eyes and you're like imagining.
Like, visualize.
And I'm like, Jack, tell me, what does it feel like to be a small Asian girl? Okay, anyways. No, I was actually recovering from an accident. And I was on pain meds, and I was kind of just in a place where I couldn't do anything. So I was bored out of my mind. And then my friend was like, oh, I've got a Blizzard account. You want to play StarCraft? And I was like, yeah, that'll give me something to do. And so then I started playing arcade stuff. And then once I got, better and I was doing physical therapy and stuff like that, I actually kept playing StarCraft as a part of my own physical therapy and my own mental therapy as well. So it really helped me to kind of get over it. And I've just kind of stayed with StarCraft ever since. It wasn't supposed to be like this.
But now here it is. You are a part of.
But here we are.
Here we are. So that's your origin story. Atira, I think you're the person I know the least about. This is like our first kind of interaction. Let's hear your origin story. First of all, I know you're in Toronto, which is super cool.
Yeah, and it's finally nice today. It's like not super hot.
But it's actually kind of cold. It's like we went from 40 degrees.
I'm not upset.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm kind of upset.
I don't.
All right. And yes, I am going alphabetical order for whatever reason. I have this weird thing. Atira, give us your origin story. Where were you exactly in detail when you decided to become part of the StarCraft community?
Well, I played this game when I was a little girl. So I played it when it first came out, before lurkers even existed, before all the cool stuff. But I actually didn't know people were still I played the campaigns when those came out a few years ago, but I didn't know people were still playing it actually until 6 months ago, maybe just around Christmas time. And I discovered it through Twitch. So I was shocked that people were still playing this game. I had been busy raising the kids and I just had no idea. So I just figured I just had to be a part of it again. I spent so much time on this game when I was a kid, and to see people were still playing it, I was shocked. So yeah, that's kind of that.
It got you back in. How do you with kids and playing StarCraft, like, how do you balance? Do you like get them to play StarCraft too and just play with them, or like would you send them away and you're like, all right, I'm gonna play StarCraft now?
No. They're really young, so they can't play it yet. Yeah, not yet. I get them to hold my little probe toy so that they're getting climatized to it and that they'll just naturally love it, I hope. But no, I usually play when they nap, or if they're doing, I'll set them up with like a craft or something. I don't really do anything else. Like, I don't have any exciting hobbies. This is sort of it now.
That's
or
all that
when,
matters though. StarCraft, all that.
yeah, or when they go to sleep, then I'll play some games. But gotta make time.
Legit. And now, Jess, Zombie Grub, let's hear your origin story. I would love to know where you were, exact location.
I don't remember.
I knew you would say something.
That sounds honest.
I knew I know.
It's really easy. I mean, I knew I wanted to be a pro StarCraft 2 player before I was a caster. But you know, the truth is, like, my body wasn't set up for it. I had tons of issues, and I just, I wasn't very good at practicing, even though I was like kind of decent. So then I started casting to kind of supplement my desire to just do StarCraft, and somewhere along the way I just kind of like, oh, I guess this is a thing that I do. I mean, I can tell you when I thought that I was a part of the community, like when people started recognizing me, but as far as a light bulb moment of like, oh, this is the game that I want to do for like the rest of my life. I mean, I don't remember any eureka moment.
Well, how about the recognized? Because that's actually curious to me. Like, what was that moment then when you felt like you were recognized?
So yeah, I don't know if you're gonna ask a question about this like later, so maybe I'm jumping the gun, but like this has to do kind of with like the whole, like how do women get treated in StarCraft. But like I first started to get recognized, just doing like all that stuff. But like the really first big break was the MLG thing that I did, community, and then when I did WCS years ago when it was a different format, but it was still a really big deal, people would actually be like, oh yeah, I've heard of Zombie Grub. Oh yeah, this is that chick that did the MLG thing. And that's when I felt like I was quite ingrained. But that's also the epitome of, is this Scarlet class casting? Because no one could like fathom that there was a second woman in StarCraft. So yeah, that's my story. Trying to catch up to Scarlet for 8 years.
Did anyone ever mention that again? Like, even after, like, is that Scarlet?
I mean, for the most part, no, but there are still people who legitimately do it. I mean, Fair Dragon does it all the time just to like get on my nerves. But
troll on you.
I mean, he does that. But there are, it pretty much died down in like, I want to say like 2016. By the time Legacy of the Void was out, especially because Scarlet stopped playing for a while. I mean, and people actually knew me too, so that kind of helped. But then I think with the new, like everyone coming back to StarCraft, some people do still pop up in the chat and unironically or not jokingly ask if that's Scarlet.
Really?
You see my face. I don't like, we don't sound anything alike, but we certainly don't like look anything alike. They'll just maybe when my camera pops up, they'll be like, oh, that's not her, and I'm like, whoa, shocker. Yeah.
Not that the name tags or anything that pop up usually after everything, right? Doesn't indicate who is and who isn't who's, but that's internet for you.
Yeah, but it kind of ties into this whole thing where it's like I really think one of the main problems that no one could fathom that there's another person, and I want to believe, I don't know if anyone else has had this issue, maybe chat will say, the one watching chat or some of the Banshees are watching, but I wonder if any poor young up and coming woman commentator is that Zombie Grub? I mean, I feel honored, but I also feel like, you could just be like, oh, a different person. Whoa, wowzers. Yeah, there you go.
Makes sense.
I actually would be curious to know that as well. Dave, don't forget as well to keep checking.
I mean, I get
Discord.
mistaken for Livy B and Zergel all the time, especially at events. Like back when I had my short green hair, people would run up to me at events so excited. and so sure of my identity. And they'd be like, "Are you Livy B?" And I'd be like, "No, she has long hair. It's red. Like, I don't even know how you could. Like, what? It's not even the same."
You know what? I feel you. I once had someone come up to take a picture with me at WCS, and they said, "Thanks, Tempo." And I was like,
okay. I was gonna say, sometimes this conversation comes up with like how friendly is blank or blank to woman, but it really usually is like to the minority of.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, you must be Tempo, and he must be the girl.
We're gonna get to the gay black guy show later.
Yeah,
that's why we're doing this one first.
That's part of my next episode. No, I did get that once, and I just took a picture with him anyways, and I went with it.
He'll figure it out later.
That guy has like a framed picture of who he thinks is Tempo.
Oh my god! So yeah, that did happen once. Speaking of which, he actually messaged me. So
yeah. So I guess moving on from that, I was wondering for each of you, what has been the favorite thing that you've done in StarCraft so far, whether it's an event, a community initiative, or just a single stream or whatever. What's been like the best thing that you've done so far in your career, I guess?
Oh, initially I thought you said worst, and I was like,
no, let's start with best. We'll get to bad
worst.
things.
We'll get to worse.
So best overall experience, just
best project you've been a part of, or event, or initiative in StarCraft that you've been a part of that you had a great experience.
Anyone else want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I would say Home Story Cup. My first Home Story Cup I went to was 14, I think. Home Story Cup 14. That was
like recently. That was like
2016. No, that was like winter 2016. I went to 3, and that was the first one I went to. And I cast it on B-Stream. And that was like a really great experience, just being at Home Story Cup in general, but also getting to have that like that fully like full circle experience of like being able to cast, being able to be like a spectator, but also just being like a part of it, And there's just been like so many moments afterwards. I think Blizzard opening up the community casting for WCS qualifiers has also been really great too. So I've been enjoying doing that because I was already doing these viewer parties or like viewing parties of qualifiers and stuff where you just kind of get together and just sit and watch the games and like ooh and ah over Baneling shots.
You mean like in live, or are you talking about like you like restream while talking over it, or are we talking like live viewing parties?
Yeah, so I don't stream the stream. I'm just on stream. And then we're just like, did you guys see that just now? It's a really ghetto way of enjoying StarCraft with people that are all around the world.
I don't think it's ghetto. I think that's actually pretty like legit. Which I thought of.
It's hard to get people together for viewing parties. I tried to do it once before during my birthday, and that was very, very difficult.
Like, we're talking about like a live, like BarCraft.
Yeah. Everybody was shoved into my small little New York apartment.
Oh my.
Okay.
Back, I think it was 2016. 2016, yeah.
Yeah, BarCrafts are my next sort of count. I love BarCrafts. We do a couple here in Toronto, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, the most recent amount of events have been all in European time zone or Korean time zone. So someone had given me the suggestion that we should actually watch the GSL VODs as like for a BarCraft, and we'll see if that something is a thing. But the other option was to do a BarCraft in the morning, like at like 6 a.m. and like have mimosas. But that to me is like the ultimate. It's like have mimosas and like pancakes for breakfast while watching like GSL. Like I totally am like, I want to try it. I want to experiment.
We did it like back in the day. We could do like in 2011 or something. We could do it at like 3-4 in the morning at a theater, and people would do it. But
yeah, I remember that. Oh my god,
that level of gung ho isn't quite there anymore.
Yeah, well, we could still pack people in. Yeah. All right, Tiro, what about you?
I haven't been to any events or anything. Like I said, I'm just a few months in. Maybe next year I'll have a better answer.
Well, you're
Maybe
going to
next
WCS
year
soon.
go to Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't go this year, but I'm just enjoying. I'm still just taking it all in. Like I'm just enjoying figuring out which streams I like watching, and even just trying to get back into platinum. So like nothing like too exciting like Alaris, but
But even for you on like streaming, like your adventures in streaming, has there been a particular stream that you had done recently, or a moment in your streaming that was particularly positive for you, or that?
Well, when I feel like I've been stuck in Gold League for the longest time. So when I did get into Platinum, that happened on stream. So that was like super, super exciting. And I'm hoping to get back. I got demoted on my birthday because that's when the season finished. So that's how August has been going.
Happy birthday! Here's a demotion.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna try and go to some events next year.
All right, Jess, what about you?
I've been to so many events. It's really hard to say. I mean, probably the most amount of fun I've had is always like when the drinking's really fun. So actually, like WCS Toronto, or no, I am Toronto. I think like the first time I got like particularly drunk.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, yeah. So it given me like the Canadian maple whiskey.
Oh.
I don't know what it was. It just hit me really hard, man. And that was before I kind of like became like that was when I thought I could drink.
Made you really good at exploding kittens, though, I think.
Yeah, I do kind of remember that. And then the Homestay Cup for me was also really awesome. It was a very cool experience, even though it was really hot and I kind of got like heat stroke. And
I remember seeing pictures of the hotel.
Yeah,
that's super fun.
Well, mine was so just like because I had a window, you know, and you had to have it open. Okay, you had one of our mods, Riamar, brought us a fan, which was a godsend, but you had to have the window open too. My window is right next to the fire escape, and it was kind of like on like the 6th floor or something. But what was weird was that the 5th floor had like the other part of the building's kind of ceiling, and there's 4 half-naked German guys in like their mid-50s like drinking, and they could easily access my room through that window through the fire escape. So I was always like, hey, I don't know, should I keep it open? Like it was an adventure, but that was also like part of the charm in a way, because that was the first time that I had gotten flown out to an event and didn't have to pay myself. I mean, because like me and Rick, we both got flown out, we had to raise the money, but still technically they paid for our flight. So, and then we had to, like hoof it. And that was just a lot of fun too. That was also a time where I got really, really quite drunk. And Pro League, I think, this is like before I was really, I guess, like deep, well, not deep, but like I had already done what it felt like to be everything at this point. Been to Korea multiple times. This is before. It was my first time going to Korea, and I watched the second to last Pro League that SKT won versus Jin Air, I believe. And Fear Dragon actually was given like the Jin Air flag to like wave around, or it was SKT one, I can't remember. Maybe the SKT one, and he gave it to me. And that was the happiest week of my life. I still have all that stuff. Like the fans would leave behind the memorabilia that they brought. So I when everyone was like leaving, I like ciphered through the chairs and I picked up the Jin Air fans and banners that they had. Yeah,
nice.
That was like one of my highlight nerdy moments.
Did you keep it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I literally still have it. It's right there. Also behind me, over there in that direction, is the GSO vs. the World Zest banner, the huge one. So I have something to wrap myself in at night.
It's like Zest.
I love it.
Zest, keep me warm. Zest.
Yeah, I love. I mean, especially the Korean stuff. Like I wanted to have like it all. I wanted to have it all. I wanted to be there. And I still do. So like I keep so many like stupid souvenirs. I tried scrapbooking. I'm not very good at it, but Yes, those are.
Yeah, I also have like a shelf next to my desk that has all my StarCraft stuff, and I have like really stupid souvenirs that I like hung on to. That people are like, "Why do you have this?" And I'm like, don't judge me. Like last summer, when they did the StarCraft Remastered relaunch, they had Hot Six that had all the portraits.
Oh yeah.
I should just get it for you. Hold on, I'm actually just gonna get it.
So I was with
They have these like Hot Six cans with like the different race portraits.
Yeah.
And I kept my empty cans. I thought about bringing back full cans, but then I was like, I don't want it to explode in my.
Yeah.
On the airplane, just and then she's gone, and this is where she runs off. Oh, she got
yeah. I still have mine as well.
Nice.
Okay, so I saw someone tweet about it. They said actually Hot Six doesn't taste very good at all.
No, I actually enjoy it. It tastes like a sweeter Red Bull. So
Daniel from StarCraft Highlights is there right now, and he tweeted, "It's like, oh, this is meh." I was like, "Oh, I've been trying to taste. I want to taste it."
I think it tastes.
It's really good. I liked it
for an energy drink. But I think the disappointment was Bakori Sweat. But if you have Bakori Sweat cold, it's fine.
Is that like? That sounds like
it's like the white one.
Yeah, it's the white one. So this might have been before y'all's time, I guess. But it was really popular in Pro League and Brood War Pro League, like Flash.
It was a sponsor definitely for the first year or two.
Yeah,
so.
That's a flavor of Hot Six, or is that an actual like drink?
It's a different drink. It's like the except it's one flavor, but people love it, and it's so weird though because at lukewarm temperatures, it tastes like a flat Fresca, like like the grapefruit soda.
Yeah, but like I think of a Fresca, and flat Fresca doesn't like jump out at. Like,
it's not very good, right? But if it's cold, it's okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, but what's the flavor? Because it's called Bakari Sweat? Like,
yes, it is.
So actually, I think like someone's
sweat.
Yeah, you get someone to drink a lot of Fresca, then you collect their sweat.
So that's what like in my mind. But what is the actual flavor? Is it like?
It is a light grapefruit flavor.
Okay, all right.
But it's a very thick substance. It's weird.
Ugh. Okay, I'm going to take your word on it.
Sounds great.
Sports drink over there.
The drink.
Okay, Hot Six is good though. It's kind of like a lighter, like a lighter Red Bull. I don't like Red Bull, but I do like Hot Six. Yeah, and Red Bull tastes like gummy bears, like melted gummy bears.
I think
it does.
Red Bull's more like
more
like medicine. Like it still has that to me.
Well, that's just because they flavor medicine like that cherry flavor.
Yeah. Well, blueberry Red Bull is like the
vitamin gummies when you were a kid, Drek. Is that why you associate?
I had Flintstone.
It's like gummy bear.
The Flintstone gum.
The chalky
vitamin.
ones?
Yes. That's what I ate as a kid. That's what I had as a kid. I ate like all the time. I just ate them at like candy, even though you weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
It's okay. So now we're getting into a little bit more. We had the happy times. Let's kind of like delve into something a little bit different. So I want to know about a time or a period of where you felt your opinion or your input wasn't taken seriously within the StarCraft community. It could be an incident, it could have been a moment, on stream, off stream, conversation. Atira, like, what about yourself? I want to start with you.
I haven't had a whole lot of bad experiences with the StarCraft community specifically. I've had bad experiences just in gaming in general, kind of, but
let's draw from that then. If you can either pull from something like that, I would.
Yeah, and actually maybe even contrast the two.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not particularly great at the game, so I don't usually, backseat game or try and tell people what they should do or what builds or whatever. So a lot of this might not apply to the specific question, but I've been in like little gaming community discords before, and I've definitely had the experience of like, I don't know if it was because I was a woman or just because I played StarCraft or what it was, but like they would often just not be excited to hear about anything I had to say about StarCraft. They would like just shut down anything I try and talk about. Like they just wanted to talk about anything but StarCraft. It was so incredibly weird.
Yes.
I don't know how to explain it. Like StarCraft people want to talk about like strats and the maps and the new seasons and stuff, and the people that weren't involved in StarCraft wanted nothing to do with that. But again, I can't say that's because I was a woman, but within the StarCraft community, I don't feel like people don't listen to me or anything like that. So
when you do your streams and you have your groups, do you focus more on having fun, or do you do any kind of like improvements? Like, I'm curious to know if you've ever, I mean, this can also avoid, like, even on like forums too, or on Twitter, like we can expand the discussion reach on that part too.
I definitely am trying to improve my gameplay. I'm not like, I'm not good. Like, when I say I'm not good at this game, I feel like I don't pick up on things as quickly as people. Like, some people, they just watch someone do a build and like, oh, I'm going to do this. And for me, I just feel like I have to like really figure it out and do it like 500 times, and then I might be able to do it.
I feel like that's everybody in StarCraft.
Oh, I don't know.
at least initially.
Yeah. I'm always trying to improve. Anyone that watches my stream knows I tend to just make zealots all the time and hope for the best. And but yeah, I'm definitely trying to improve it. And I listen to what my viewers tell me, and I kind of figure out, who's in a higher league and who's giving me good advice. And I try and listen.
Do you ever find any imbalance? Like, I've noticed in some other people's streams that if they're doing something even slightly wrong, you get people trying to like honestly correct them or give them advice, but then you get other people that are just there to criticize. Do you find much of that at all?
Oh yeah. When I first started streaming, like I haven't told a lot of people this, but like the first couple of streams, the backseat gaming was so bad, I actually cried after. I was so like, I just didn't realize it was going to be that crazy. And I think I started streaming when I was in like gold 3. So, it wasn't until I kind of thought that like, I'm in a lower league. People are gonna like, this is just like bait for everybody. They want to help anybody in a lower league. And I even see people trying to backseat game like GMs, like even when partying is streaming, people will be like, oh, you should have done this or that. So I just sit there and I'm like,
no, he
I don't feel
yells
so
at them.
bad
Have
now,
you
but all
considered
these
that?
people criticizing me. So, yeah, but I think that just kind of comes with the game, because when you're watching it as a viewer, you can see all the things that I'm doing wrong. But when, obviously when you're playing the game, you don't notice that you're about to get supply blocked or whatever. So I don't blame them.
This is something actually I want to touch on, but I want to make sure I don't lose the trail of this question. But when you first started streaming, did you ever have a problem using your camera? Like I know sometimes, I'm trying to be careful not to like generalize it, but like women might have.
It's okay, say it. Just say what you gotta say. It's okay.
All right, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. But okay. Did you have a problem putting a camera because you didn't want to reveal that you were a woman, or that you didn't want any of the vitriol that's normally associated with the internet with streaming? Like, was that a hard thing for you, or did you find that after you put the camera that happened?
No, I put the camera on right away because I personally don't always like watching streams where there's no camera, because I want to see the person. I want to see like if I type something in chat, like how they react. So I just thought that if I'm as a viewer, if I prefer streams that have a mic and cam, I should be doing that as well. That's literally all that was. I wasn't concerned about anything. I had seen the other women streamers like, Zombie Grub, Lara, Sir Girl, and some of them, and they did it. So I figured, why not?
Annie and Jess, was that ever a concern for you guys at all with cameras when you first started?
Yes.
Really? I want to hear Jess first.
Well, it's kind of interesting because we do have some like significantly different timelines of women here. And I'm not even as far back as it goes, right? There are tons of women who are really a lot more popular than I am. I was getting a lot of hate for being sent places because they were only masters, but they were sent to MLGs. But there's me, who is kind of coming along like as they were moving out. Then there's Annie, who came like 2 years ago. And then there's Atira, who's, she keeps saying she's like months old. So it's really interesting to hear that. But yeah, like I felt for these two, like it's very much so if you're gonna be a Twitch streamer, like what else do you expect to do? But I feel like 6-7 years ago, like there's still Twitch was still like Justin TV still existed, right? And people would still get away with not having cameras, especially if they were casters, because people would be like, oh, I only want to hear the cast anyways. Obviously, it was still better to have webcams. I'm not disagreeing with that. So the first time that I finally got like a real gig and I had to have a webcam, I was very nervous. Besides just like, you know, typical inherent like issues with yourself and like whether you think you look good or anything like that, there was also, you know, because I am a woman, like how much more will they judge me? So that was pretty big. And I remember the first time that I used a camera, I was casting with Xander Fever, if anyone remembers that guy. And I had told him, because we were kind of good friends, I told him I was nervous. And when I put my camera on, he was like, oh, you're pretty. And it sounds really dumb. And like he said it like on a whim, but I was like, oh, thank God. It was also like this like webcam that was like super shitty. Like you can see it like some of my old VODs, or like it was so dark you couldn't even really tell what I looked like. So yeah. Back then, yes, of course, but now I don't care.
Yeah, and I think you're right on the timeline thing. Like even for myself in the early days, most casting or YouTubers or something didn't use one, and so you just heard their voice and you never saw them. I think I didn't until like 2 years in either. But it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't worried about anything, but it just wasn't done, so I didn't really care. And
yeah, I mean, so, yeah. There's still tons of people like the into casting in those days was literally having equipment. Yeah. Like if you could stream, you were probably going to be casting things, even if you were a god awful caster. It didn't really matter. So, like nowadays, though, like if you're going to put your face somewhere, you better have like a decent camera and a decent mic. And I mean, there's even people who are so elitist that like you better have a green screen, which I don't agree with. Yeah.
Actually, you brought up an interesting point that I really want to touch on. But is there a pressure for, is there a pressure for when you go on stream to look put together? Like, is that?
Oh, of course, yeah. Actually, so I was scared for the webcam, but that, I mean, I still think the webcam kind of like hides a lot of flaws, to be honest. So, but then you go on the WCS stuff, and that's all. You also have studio lighting, so it kind of makes anyone look bad, regardless if you have like blemishes. Even like the most like perfect skin on a man, like they'll still touch you up a little bit. But like I was hella nervous because the first event I did, they didn't have a makeup artist. That was Nation Wars 2 years ago. And I had only just started to dabble in makeup as someone who was not very feminine. So I was super, super nervous. And I did that event and it was fine. Like I didn't exactly look fantastic. Like no one did my hair. But I remember I accidentally went to the BattleNet forums one time.
Oh, no.
Go there, children, forever. I was searching for something. And some guy had actually complained during that event that I was very like non-feminine and like gross looking, and he hates the fact that I always wore a jumper on camera and it was very unprofessional.
That guy.
And I was like, but Funko was literally like in the shirt he used for the past 3 broadcasts. And I'm the one that gets targeted. So that's one of the stand-up moments, I guess, of where it was really just I know that was sexist as hell. Other times, like when Atira is like trying to like, talk about, was it because I was a woman? Like I don't actually know. But there's some times where I'm like, oh, that's definitely because I was a woman. Like, fuck you. And it's I think that's 100% true on the broadcast as well. Again, webcams maybe because you're only on webcam for 1 minute, then you go to commercial break or whatever. I don't know. And because you're not under the lights in the studio, and because you don't have to look professional, there's so many more physical appearance comments when you're on those bigger stages. Also, more people watching.
Yeah.
And that is 100% worse for the woman. You will never convince me otherwise.
Not try to.
Annie or Tira, do you guys, before you guys do streaming, do you guys make sure that you reach a certain standard of appearance before? And I imagine others too, but I feel like there must be a thread for female that they have to be up here while a guy can get away with a hoodie that he rolled out of bed with the next day and be fine. Shots to you.
I mean, I just wear whatever. I actually wear a lot of like t-shirts and tank tops because I actually
Just be quiet. You're already cute. That's why.
Kawaii.
Am I kawaii desu senpai? Okay, anyways. So yeah, no, I actually feel weird dressing up at home because I'm like just going from my dresser to my table. So it's like, I don't know, I don't really dress up too much, but I do put on my face. I do cover up and I do my wings.
What?
She like
My
wings,
wings.
Eyeliner.
Oh,
My wings. They're so sharp they could cut a bitch.
is it bad? And I think I immediately thought about like Red Bull. I was like, wings, Red Bull. Wings. Like, that's the marketing work. So you put makeup before you do streams? Is that like every stream or like?
Yeah, every stream. You think
right.
I stream without eyeliner on? My eyes. I don't put eyeliner on.
So you put your face together.
Hello.
All right. Atira, what about you? Do you put any makeup before?
To be fair, I'm in this aspect very girly because I don't even go to the grocery store without makeup on. I think I really need it, so I guess I do it for streaming, but I would do it. I don't know. I'm into makeup, and I don't want to be that stereotype too much, but I don't know. I enjoy it.
It's a stereotype. I think that's really silly that girls have to think it's a stereotype. No, you do you. You do whatever.
No, yeah, you're right.
I
I shouldn't have to feel defensive about.
No, you shouldn't
right.
because you just want to look good. You want to look presentable, That's your version of it, whatever it may be. It's totally fine.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I should have gotten like a survey from male streamers like, what do you do to like put yourself together? And a lot of them would just be like, what? What do? Don't do anything.
Wait, can I say something though, real quick?
Yeah.
I used to be like Atira where I would not leave my apartment without putting on makeup. And then I got poor. And then I realized how expensive makeup was. You know how much my foundation is? It's $34 for us.
Yo,
that's a good price.
How long does that last though? How long does that $34 foundation last for? Like,
okay, because I put on a very small amount, and I fucking like budget that shit. It lasts me for a while, like half a year at least. But no, when I was wearing it every day to go out, it would last me like a few months, and I'd be like, I can't keep spending this money. Nope. So I started going to the grocery store without makeup. I started going out like wherever, running errands without makeup, and now I'm actually really comfortable with myself without makeup. But for stream, for camera, for events, always full face. At events though, contour.
I think we are completely missing an opportunity to have like an Annie show of like doing makeup and like following you around. I feel like that's missing in my life. I think that is missing from the scene.
I thought about doing like a very zergy makeup, kind of like a funny video before, but I just haven't done it yet.
Add that to the list.
Like almost disturbing, not like it would be like a makeup parody, like one of those makeup show parodies.
Yeah,
anyway,
how you look like Kerrigan.
All right, so I want to try tying it back to the negative spot. When bad opinion or when time in your opinion or input didn't feel like it was taken seriously, Jess, was there a time when that happened to you?
When my input wasn't taken seriously?
Yeah.
Not so much. I just did an interview with Joey where I told the story, and it might have had something to do with the fact that I was a woman, but also just in general, I was not in my place as a caster, maybe, where like I basically was like, I was casting a clan war. One of the guys I was casting was a dick. He just, he was being BM. He was accusing the guy of cheating, and I was like, dude, I don't think it's cheating. You're being kind of a dick. And then he got mad at me and told me to shut up, and I wasn't even good at the game. And then later on I learned that they had replaced me as a caster but didn't tell me. So that might have been, I remember being as part of so many small clans doing my the grind work to be a caster, and some of them were more interested in their casters than others, but I could never say that it was because I was a woman. And then I actually think that a lot of the people we have in the top tier scene are actually very forward thinking about this type of stuff, and just in general, Blizzard is one of the better companies to think about this type of stuff. And I know,
like in terms of women in like having
yes, well, yeah, and minorities, and just I know, like, Riot got in trouble very recently with that article that appeared about how basically sexist they were. I don't know if any of you read it, but it was a really
I did.
yeah. But like how they try and do their bias training for their staff, just because, I mean, it's one thing to be directly sexist and be like, well, you're just a bitch, doesn't know anything because you're a woman, and then it's another thing to be like, I don't think her opinion was correct, and then a guy says it, and then suddenly his opinion is correct. Maybe in the early days, but I was always, weirdly enough, I was almost always the analyst, even though I didn't feel comfortable calling myself that, between like the people I was casting with. So almost always the analyst. So I actually can't recall too many direct, like, oh, my input wasn't taken seriously.
I actually am very curious about this, Justin. I don't know if this ever happens to you, but for myself, in sometimes as a minority, I get picked for things because I'm a minority. Do you ever find yourself getting picked for things because you're a woman and they need to fill a box, or they need to they need to have a certain look?
That's always, I think anyone worries about that, right? And then what's weird is that you worry about it, and then someone accuses you of it, and immediately you're just like, fuck you. So it's always kind of weird, but the thing is that I feel like if Blizzard, right, or anyone who was doing tournaments back then, so DreamHack did their own tournaments, MLG, IEM, whoever, Red Bull, whoever, like if they really wanted to appeal to a certain type, they certainly took their time, because I wasn't the first person who could be considered a caster. I wasn't the first caster. I guess I was kind of the first like person who represented himself as just a caster as a woman, but if they really wanted to, they could have. Flo didn't have to be an observer. She could have been asked to cast, regardless if she was good at it, if they really wanted to fill that role. And I wasn't picked up until Nation Wars, which I don't think they had any like opinion about me being a woman for it, but because and I feel like I can confirm that because Nation Wars actually has a bit of I don't want to say a bro culture, because that's not true. But they kind of expect you to go out drinking and be involved and be friends, like everyone in StarCraft does. And one of the first things you hear when you start to realize that some things are a little bit sexist is like, oh, they wouldn't fit in with us. And if you hear that about a minority often enough, you're just like, oh, you guys are actually just racist. Oh, okay, cool. And I never hear that. They always, say like, oh no, she'll be fine. Like she'll fit in fine. And oh yeah, she'll go do stuff and whatever. Yeah. So it's actually quite nice.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the things I think, particularly in contrast, I think about old StarCraft, like 2012 StarCraft, and I think specifically at NASL. And you know.
Oh my God. Okay, no. Well, no. Do you guys remember that like thing that never paid out? But it was like they had a like the scantily clad woman that would like spin the wheel. It was like Wait, did you say it? It was like ESG, but like it was something. Someone in chat's gonna remember this? It paid out a ton of money. It flew people out. Everyone was like,
"Oh my God,
what is this?"
Frodan, was it? Kutex was a part of it. Frodan. Oh my God.
Yes.
What was it called again? Oh my God. And it was like a shell company for.
Oh, you mean the video game World Series of video?
No. It was in Germany, and it
was it ESGN Fight Night? Was that?
It was ESGN. It was ESGN. Yes, it was ESGN.
Oh my God. Yeah, they took that. Well, what was funny though is that like the community feedback to it was actually like, this is actually too cringy, you guys. Like, I know you're trying to appeal to gamers, but like this is bad. This is really bad. It makes us look bad to do this. Why are you guys doing this to us? And it was just not a hit. But oh man, because I know NASL got some critique for the choices in their hosts, which is what I assume you were going to. But it just ESChamp was so egregious.
Well, I think
it's always around Frodan, these people.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up NASL, but you bring up ESGN, which is a good point. But I think about the idea of people in esports, and by proxy, StarCraft, hiring females in roles specifically like hosts to spin wheels, just because, and maybe they don't know anything about StarCraft. Like, I think now we're in an era where we, a lot of the people who are in StarCraft are legitimate within it. But I think about some of the interviews in NASL, and I'm trying to, I don't know if I should say it. Yeah, Lorena at least,
Yeah.
She at least learned a little, but there was a girl before that, Lindsay something.
Yes,
who was the ZVG girl and just had no concept. And when stuff like that happens, do you ever feel see it and be like, all right, that set us back about a year?
So that's actually
yes, WESG.
So okay, ESGN was pretty bad.
That put us all back. Everyone.
I'm all for if women want to wear skinny clad clothes, go ahead. But that was definitely some big guy in the head honcho was like, this will appeal to gamers. But actually, in regards to the NASL thing, that was actually a very important time. So growing up, I was very bad with jealousy. If I was jealous, I really hate people I was jealous of. And that initially what fueled me to be better and do more in StarCraft is honestly just jealousy. So I wanted to go travel. I wanted to I wanted to be like, hey, I'm a Masters player. Why aren't I being flown out? And I was in generally not a very good feminist, shall we say. So by that time, this was actually, I thought she was after Lauren, to be honest. The woman who was there for 2 or 3 days. I thought she was after, but I could be wrong.
I think she was, or maybe I'm thinking
maybe a bit at the same time, because they were different. One was actually the host, but she was just going around doing the
okay.
So I don't know.
Yes. Lauren was the actual host on the show, but there was someone who did interviews with players and.
So when they hire these people, generally they're from a talent agency because they could do well on camera. And yes, because they were a woman and they wanted a woman on camera, sure. But they also did have skills that they would need. It wasn't just hey, you're a woman on the street, let's get you on here. So when I saw how the community reacted to Lauren for so long and only barely started to respect her when she started to show interest, I remember I actually tweeted at the other woman we're talking about, and I was like, hey, if you ever want to learn more about StarCraft, feel free to, contact me and we'll play some games, something like that. And I think she responded. I think she was actually very nice. But I don't look at those ones anyways and think, well, this set me back hundreds of years. It's actually been a conversation I've had with many women, I think, over the years about stuff like that, though, because I think the biggest one in Twitch is just the titty streamers, right? Are they actually stealing men's viewers? And that's a whole discussion we could have there. But ultimately, I don't look at that and say, well, thanks for taking the job away from me, or thanks for making women not appear serious.
They're stealing Fortnite viewers. They're not stealing StarCraft viewers.
Well, no, I think there's an entire demographic directed at that kind of
Yeah. I felt I don't know. Maybe it would have been faster if there was a woman who was an analyst in 2011 and there would have been more streamlined acceptance of women in gaming, because StarCraft 2 was esports back then. But I don't know. That's a really big what if.
I don't remember. There was a woman who casted with D9 with I think it was WCS Canada. Was it WCS Canada? It might have been. And I can't remember her name for the life of me. So Anderson, I don't know if you would remember her.
The only female caster I remember early days was Kelly Milkies, and it wasn't that.
Yes. Yeah, she got a lot of flack. People forget that Kim fan casts.
Yeah.
With Tasteless.
Did she only cast? Did she cast StarCraft? I thought it was only Warcraft.
Times, right?
She did Warcraft. I thought she did StarCraft too, though. She cast
Warcraft 3. Because that's where she came. I think she was a player. I'm pretty. She was a player. She was a player, but I don't know if
she was very good.
Yeah, she was really good. And,
are you talking about Little Susie that casted with D9?
I think it was Zoe. Was it Zoe?
I know she casted with Tasteless Nortosis before in Korea.
No, I'm talking about StarCraft 2 cast. Canada or
StarCraft 2 was Kelly Milkies.
Okay, it might be Kelly.
pretty sure.
I was watching some
vlogs in GSL with Nick Plot, but I don't know. But Little Susie rings a bell. Zoe, I know, definitely hosted stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, Little Susie did cast Brood War. I don't know how many official outlets, but yes.
All right. Not to detract with my episodes of Who is Who, I didn't get to ask Annie. Was there a time when you felt your opinion or your input wasn't taken seriously within the community?
Just now.
When the when the first time I casted on Nation Wars was because that I'm saying was a lot. Okay, that was my first like really big production that I casted on, and it was B Stream, and there was maybe Home Story Cup. There was maybe like a third of the mainstream viewership on there. There wasn't even that many. But it was like upwards of at least over 1K probably viewers. And at the time I was still learning a lot about StarCraft. Still really enjoyed learning about it, but more enjoyed like talking about it. And casting is like a whole nother thing. Talking about the game is really different from, I guess, analyzing it or whatever. And so at the time, I think I was more of a play-by-play caster and like a bit of analytics, but I had a pro player sitting next to me that was doing analytics, so I didn't really have to do any of that. I was just there being like, oh shit. And people would message me on Twitter and write in Twitch chat saying stuff like, I don't know what I'm talking about, or like whenever I did say something that was, I don't know, some kind of fact or whatever. And just like saying that I'm not very good and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you mad, bro? I'm just here doing this, bro. I know you see me, but I'm not going to stop. So I just kept going because the fuck? So what? I like doing it.
I love your sass. That is my favorite.
So
you mad, bro?
I just kept doing it. I kept learning more about StarCraft, and now I think I have pretty good game knowledge around Zerg matchups, not so much the other ones, but I can play by play for the other ones. I bring a lot of energy, Blizzard. But no, really, I just like doing it. I like commentating. I do all the WCS qualifier stuff when I can. For as long as I can. And I even started hosting and organizing my own tournaments so that I could get more casting practice and just getting an idea of what it might be like to put on the host organizer hat. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the only backlash I get is when I'm on like a bigger platform and then people are like, who is this girl? She doesn't know what she's talking about. And I'm like, oh, and you do? Okay. Come tell me about it.
So a lot of our discussion so far is like fairly recent stuff with StarCraft 2. But I gotta figure that a lot of the basically missing females in gaming can happen at a younger age. When you were all children, I assume that everyone was still into video games. Were you ever discouraged from that, either by friends or even your family or other adults, like told this isn't for you, or why are you playing StarCraft Brood War when you're a 6-year-old or whatever? Did you ever feel any of that?
Yes, but for me it was a cultural thing because I'm Chinese and my parents are like,
they don't game at all.
No, they don't video games. No. And if it was a video game, it was one that I could play with my little brother. So it was always like 2-player stuff. And it was like bonding time for us. And I was always playing console games. I never really played PC games when I was growing up. I never had anybody to introduce me. Everybody always has a story of like, oh, my big brother or my dad or my friends at school introduced me to StarCraft. And I'm like, I wish I had that. I wish I could say that I played Age of Empires or Brood War or, all those games that everybody grew up with. And I'm like, I grew up playing Sega and we were poor. So it was like, that was it. It was Sega and like The Sims and what was it? Neopets and just anything that you
Neopets.
online that was Flash, you know, Flash games. There were tons of websites with Flash games.
The Sims. I love The Sims. I'm just gonna point that out. That's how I got outed to my sisters. The Sims.
Did you only have boys with you?
Yeah, she found one of my characters and she's like, "Why is he flirting with my husband?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why. But Atira or Jess?
I want to just this whole Neopets thing. I think it was actually good because for me, I think that I'm 30, so that would have been in middle school, like grades 6, 7, and 8. I think that was super popular, and none of my friends played other games, but they played Neopets. So like if I would talk about StarCraft or something, they wouldn't think it was that crazy because they were sitting at lunchtime or whatever in one of the classrooms playing Neopets. So thank you, Neopets. I think mine are all dead, obviously. They're starving. Waiting for an omelet. They're waiting for an omelet. That's never. Yeah. But my dad he got me into StarCraft actually. And my little brother played StarCraft. I know Annie was saying she wished she had this. But my brother doesn't anymore. That's very tragic. But in high school, no, though I just didn't have time in high school for any sort of gaming or anything like that. So it kind of stopped from high school until StarCraft 2 came out, Wings of Liberty. So
did anyone actually show more interest in you when they found out you were gaming? Like, well,
I didn't game in high school, so no. And no.
I was in real life, yes, like now-ish.
Yeah. I always imagine, like in my mind, I imagine that like if you mention that you play games or something, like a guy suddenly like his attention like increases by 20 or something like that. He's like, really? What games? Tell me about it. Like
now, yeah, but not in like elementary school or
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Absolutely.
Whenever I'm at events, I'm clearly there for an esports event, you know. So obviously, it'd be safe to assume.
Is it obvious though?
Yeah, you just assume everybody is associated. So the first thing you ask them is, "What game are you here for?" or "What game do you play?" Right? And so then, whenever guys are trying to flirt with me, and they ask me that, and I say StarCraft, the next thing they always say is, "Oh, it's a dead game." And I'm like, "Oh, you trying to flirt, huh? That's how you flirt, huh? You want to tell me my game is dead? Okay, bye."
Yeah, trying to neg you
like,
on your
I'm
game,
just joking, and I'm like, "Am I laughing?"
Actually, I was curious to hear. Like, I don't. Well, anyway, so I wonder if our game is any more popular. Maybe we'll get it more as we get more popular. But like, yeah, that's the same response I would get, or like, "Oh, I don't really play that," or "I used to play it," or something like that. Maybe like a nod of respect. But I think there's a lot of women who would say that for bigger games, or maybe there are for StarCraft 2, and I just don't. I haven't met them yet. Talked about it, where they're like, if you're like, "Yeah, you're like StarCraft 2," and they're like, "Oh, what race do you play?" Zerg. "Oh, what build do you like?" You know, regular macro builds. "Oh, do you actually like, do you know how to play? Like, what league are you?" Diamonds.
So like they're testing you.
Pretty good. Like, do you like watch esports? Yeah, I love esports. Okay, well, do you like, who's your favorite player? And you're just like, well, this sounds like it could be a conversation, except instead it sounds like a barrage of questions. Yeah, like I wonder if they all get tested, because it is really common for women to be tested.
If she actually likes games, or if she's not just
if I actually like games.
Superficial.
That's another thing that like all the Riot article was about.
That's so weird. I haven't gotten that. It's always
for StarCraft. It's because we always get like, "Oh, who cares?"
I get that all the time.
Okay, there you go. See?
Do you? Really?
I get that. I get it all the time, and it's usually by the most well-meaning people. Like, I've had at least 20 different people say either while I'm streaming or private message me later, oh, I'm going to keep watching your stream because you're actually into the game and trying to get better. And I'm just like,
oh, I
yeah,
see you on stream. Yeah.
I'm always kind of like, okay. And I do hate always having to justify that I really do like this game, because guys don't have to do that. I'm sorry. Like, people don't go to a guy's StarCraft stream and be like, oh, you're really into the game. I'm so impressed with you. Like that. I think I can say that pretty safely.
Okay, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking in like a real life situation.
No, it's actually, it's both, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I imagine in my mind, if you're at an esports event and you go there, I envision this. This is probably me envisioning the worst in people. Someone comes up to you and is like, "So, is your boyfriend in the tournament, or are you here with somebody?"
Oh my God. I mean, along the same lines, how often were the women that were behind the scenes in StarCraft referred to as blank's boyfriends, or sorry, girlfriends?
Yes. Yes.
Jenna Bain was Total Biscuit's wife for a very long time. Actually, I mean, she still is. So that's really shitty, because she like made Axiom and she did so much behind the scenes work. So
yeah, but like I imagine that like as that is one of the worst, like in my mind, like I don't know, I'm assuming this does happen, but you'd go to an event, an esports event, and obviously a lot of times you may be very a few women, especially maybe in a StarCraft event, and someone comes up to you or talking to them and they're like, "Oh, so yeah, is your boyfriend in the tournament, or did you come with somebody?" Or
yeah. I imagine it's gotta happen, because like I don't really get it, because again, most StarCraft people know StarCraft people, but I gotta imagine for the new people, or for the innocent young lad 2 years from now, it's like, StarCraft's a cool game. Hey, what's your name? Do you like StarCraft? And I'm like, oh, I'm casting right now.
Last year when I was doing my big StarCraft event tour, it was more because I was curious. I went to one event and I loved it, and so I went to another and I loved it, and then I was like, what is StarCraft like all around the world? I want to know what fans are like in different areas, and I got to experience that. But at some point, somebody was like, oh, you go to all these events, who are you dating? And I'm like, I'm not here with anyone. I'm just here for myself. And they're like, oh, you're not dating one of the players. I thought you were dating one of the players. And I'm like, no. What? No.
That is a big assumption. When a woman goes to a lot of events, it's usually like, well, who is she dating? When a guy goes to a lot of events, they could both be seen as kind of creepy and then they don't like them, or they could be cool, like either one. But the girl gets asked like who you date. The guy is just like, oh, you must be kind of rich and you're like StarCraft.
Yeah. Or you have somebody that's like paying for you to go. I'm like, no, I work 2 jobs. Like, I just really wanted to go to StarCraft events.
Yeah.
I'm like barely paying rent. I just wanted to see what StarCraft was like.
Yeah. As a PSA to like all, because it really is like 90% men who do this, and some women sure, but like when you go into a woman's chat, and whether it's StarCraft 2 or anyone else's, and your idea of a compliment is you're not like other women, just maybe don't do that. I mean, there's like a whole load of issues that you kind of have to, if you got to do this whole like, well, I get what you're trying to say. Okay, I know you meant it as a compliment, but here you go. I need to explain to you why it's wrong. And just not do that. That'd be great. There's so many instances of it too, where like I'm becoming more like in control every day I stream. That guy just like doesn't take any shit. Sometimes he was a little overboard, and he does actually like rag on someone who meant well, but I understand why. Because most people just set themselves up to be like idiots, right?
Idiots at you when you do it for a long time. No, I do it so much, and like there's so many times where my chat will be like, oh, that was so savage, and I'm like, was it? Did I go too far? My bad.
Oh yeah,
piece of shit. So I had to call you out.
Yeah.
On that same line, this is something like I don't think guys get, but I must imagine, and maybe I could be wrong, but do you ever get like really creepy fans, or like
yes
like,
there we go.
Oh yeah,
like,
I was waiting for this question.
Who just like message you or like PM you or come to you at events, and they're just like, they either pretend like they've known you all your life, or like I don't know.
This might be a me thing, but I hate when people call me Jessica. It's the weirdest thing to me because I literally introduce myself to the world and usually to people at esports events as Zombie Grub. And they learn later on I'm Jessica, and I'm just like, not how to introduce myself to you. It's kind of weird, dude. Anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna skip answering about my childhood, I suppose. I was tomboy, so my parents never like cared about me playing video games so much. And I didn't play video games. And I was part of a very nerdy crowd, so we read books and played video games. Played WoW. But anyways, it's going beyond that. I've gotten a few weird, creepy people. I've definitely gotten people that have remade accounts just to say things really like stupid, but just like, like, oh, you're beautiful. Oh, I'd love to fuck you. Like, and there's that. But then I have like two infamous stories, but I can't remember the second one right now. So I'll tell the first one I remember, which is this guy, he found my Reddit account, right? Which I don't post on Reddit too much, but he found it and he PM'd me. And I had like PMs like off or something. I didn't go to Reddit that much. I don't remember why. So I didn't catch this guy PMing me until he was like 2 or 3 messages deep. This guy wrote like fucking articles, okay? There was like paragraph upon paragraph about how beautiful I was and how intelligent I was and how he loved that I was in a StarCraft and that he actually lived really close by and that he's actually a really hot guy. And he would, here's some pictures of him, which I did click because I confirmed that they were just in your, links first. And to his credit, he actually was a good looking guy and he was buff. But I don't know, when you're like talking to a girl you don't know and you're like, we live really close. And I think you're the greatest. Like, I just think you're gonna show up at my door with like, some jackals and an axe.
How does he know that he lives close to you? Like, how does he?
I say that I live like I can at some points. I say Virginia, right?
Oh,
so okay. That's what he heard, and he was like, oh, I only live 2 hours away. I'd love to date you. I care.
Virginia's huge.
But like, right? Like Richmond's like 2 hours away. But so like, imagine just like paragraphs upon paragraphs of him being not outwardly like gross or something, but just really weird. And I actually took the time to respond to him, tell him why it was weird and kind of creepy, and that not many women or any woman would want to do this, how you presented yourself, and thanks, but maybe rethink how you write to women online. And he just kept on going. He didn't get angry at me like some guys do. He was like, oh, but I really love you. I really think we could work well together. I really think you're my soulmate. And I was like, and we're blocking this guy.
See, I actually did think you would get my anger. I just envisioned the guy was like, well.
Yeah, usually that ends badly.
Yeah, like I couldn't imagine that ending well in any scenario where he'd be like, thank you.
You really changed my mind. The weirdest thing though, because like sometimes I've learned this from playing team games, and I think team games are really where you get the most hate for being a woman, because I think it's so easy to be like you're the part of us that's dragging us down because you're different. But like if you're kind of jokey and you try and be cool with the person first, a surprising number of people drop the attitude and are like, lol, right, yeah, I'm just being kind of a dick, sorry. And they'll be okay from then on. So like I've tried this whole approach. It has like a 30% success rate of getting yeah, you're right, I was kind of a dick. So yeah, we'll try it.
Not bad.
That's hilarious. You have a success rate for that too. And oh my god.
Do you ever get just the really brutal death threat, vitriolic?
Oh, yes.
Tell that.
That was the other time, right? This is great, right? Okay, so for two, right? One, there's this woman who actually really loved Rifkin. This was like 3 years ago. She loved Rifkin, which is great. And initially she liked me, all right? But then I quoted a joke from Fresh Off the Boat. You know that show? Yeah. Where I was talking about the trailer looked really funny, and there was a line where she was like, if you get lost in this shopping mall, go find a white family. And she got really pissed at me and like started like calling me out on Twitter and saying that I was bad for Rifkin, and like meanwhile like continuing to send him love messages, and Rifkin even got freaked out. So I guess that was kind of like the reverse, where a woman was creepy to a guy. But then the specific threat that I got that was actually just like, oh my God, this person is insane. Colorblind issues are so common when we cast stuff. You know, we don't know what exactly the colorblind colors are, or, you know, they go so fast we can't even tell them to change colors. And I understand how frustrating that can be, especially in a mirror matchup. But, you know, at one point we were like telling the audience, like, hey, like, you know, we wish we could, but honestly, like, sometimes we just can't, or we forget, or like, hopefully you can be able to deal with it. And this woman tweeted at me and she said, hey, I think it's really not cool that you guys don't care more about your colorblind community. You guys should really try harder. And I responded with, look, as we said, like, we'd love to try harder. We're not trying to, you know, purposely do this, but it just sometimes slips through the cracks, or it's not something that we constantly remember. Her response, I hope you get raped at the next event. Fucking cunt. And I was like, oh, okay.
What?
So that's the only time I've ever gone to the Twitter's report thing and been like, well, this person's not okay.
Oh, well, if we're talking about just like passing threats, yeah, that's just like ladder. That's just like every day on ladder. Are you kidding me?
Well, ladder, yes.
Yeah, ladder. I think ladder, there's a certain level.
Ladder's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It's because you beat them or you cheese them or something.
Yeah.
But like, there's another streamer, doesn't so much stream StarCraft anymore, but a former GM in Toronto. I've seen some of her private messages she showed me someday. It's just threat after threat after threat after love letter after threat. Like,
are the threats mainly for men? Like,
they're all for men. Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, it's odd that you mentioned too, where a woman.
I mean, her Twitter showed a woman photo, but it could have been.
It may not have been. You never know.
Can I just say, I have seen some women be very creepy towards the pros, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's certainly also an issue. It's always one of those, like, yes, those are all issues too.
Yeah.
But they hardly, I mean, it's like that. This isn't 100% true. There are a lot of actually crazy people, including women, who will kill someone or you know, skin their body and wear their skin. Well, like, you know,
Silence of the Lambs level.
Yeah, exactly.
like
but usually it's like the joke is like, if a guy is crazy, he'll murder you. If a girl is crazy, she'll like puncture your tire or something like that. So that's why it's not as, you know, it's not looked at as such a big issue as when guys do it. And then of course the worst ones are when the guys are like, I'll be at the same event as you. So
yeah, it's more intimidating from a guy, I feel.
Yeah. You're right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Have you ever had like been made felt uncomfortable, like
yes.
at an event or like
Yes.
And-
yeah.
Annie, tell me, like, what was a time when?
Okay, I'll tell this very specific story. Just because I did actually message him and was like, listen, dude, this is really making me uncomfortable. But basically he was asking me if I was going to be at an event. And I was like, yes, I'm going. And then he's like, oh, great, I'll come. And I'm like, listen, man, if you want to come for you. Don't come for me. Like, I'm going to be busy, I'm going to be doing stuff, blah, blah. And then he was like, oh, well, we can, after the event, we can like do a road trip and go to this city and go here and there. And I'm like, listen, man, I don't know you like that. Like, you're really cool and all, but this is making me really uncomfortable. I really don't want to do that. And then that was pretty much it. Haven't been really seeing this guy since, but yeah, I don't know. I think the source of entitlement is just because of the streamer viewer dynamic, and some viewers don't really pick up on that as much as others, where like, you know so much about the streamer because they're putting themselves on for you.
It's a one-way relationship, right?
Yeah, and then like, I don't know anything about, like, I don't pry, you know, so I don't know what my viewers do for a day job. I don't know if they have, I mean, if they want to share stuff, that's fine, but I gotta really, we're like acquaintances at best. And it's like, when people ask me if I'm going to be at an event, I'm like, yeah, I would love to, you know, say hi. If you see me, you can feel free to say hi, but just, you know, don't be offended if I'm busy. I always tell people that.
When you meet up with like people from your stream and stuff like that, do you ever feel like the need to be in like a public space or like a place where it's just like less likely that this person may not be crazy.
Yeah, well, I've had guys invite me to like their homes or their hotel rooms and like hang out or like take me to dinner, and I'm like, no, thank you. Stranger danger.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah.
I think it's a general rule of thumb though for like, it should be for anyone, especially women. It's like you always, if you go on like a Tinder date, not only do you pick a public place, obviously, but you also tell your friend where you're gonna be, and if you don't come home within whatever. So like, I don't think I get as many creepy romantic offers or like feelings of being closer than they are, because I hate that in general. It's not even like a relationship or a romantic thing. It's just like, if I'm not really that close to you friend wise, I'm also like very uncomfortable. So like I think that's how I present myself. I think like I'm brash, I'm not feminine, I don't wear makeup, I don't, you know, try and be friendly. I guess. So I feel like I don't get nearly as many of the creepy offers. But yeah, when you do, it's a hoot. So I don't think I've ever met anyone who put me in a very unsafe space. But I have met other women at events who would tell me that this guy is making them really feel uncomfortable. And you know, we do that whole like, well, we flock to each other and you know, women hang out with each other. So
are there like protocols and events or stuff like that, like larger events like a dream hack or stuff like that, to make women feel less stalked or anything like that?
Like, is there like a safe space?
Yeah, like
I don't know. Designated corner for women.
No, women do not need that. Women are strong. They're capable. I have never felt unsafe because I don't put myself in situations where I'm unsafe. I don't go with strangers or people that I don't know. You know, like women are capable of handling themselves, especially adult women. We do not need a safe space.
Well, it's I mean, besides that, like the whole idea of like women do have their own whatever the word is, can't remember, but like it's also just, I think StarCraft is also pretty good that everyone knows each other.
And you could just walk over to a group of people.
Yeah, like we can walk over to someone and be like, hey, like this guy's kind of creeping me out. Or there are the well-known creepers. I mean, like every guy right now is going to be like, oh shit, am I that person? Like the woman will tell each other, and even the guys will like kind of look at another's behavior and be like, hey, just to warn you, this guy's kind of weird.
Take this moment to reflect. Anyone?
Yeah,
like a creeper board.
Like, you know, egalitarian or whatever. There's one or two women that also get the same reputation, to be honest, for being kind of weird and creepy. But yeah, there's a lot of guys where you're just like, well, you know, I don't really want to hang out with them, and otherwise, I think, you know, there's that worry of when you go to StarCraft after parties, are you going to get drugged? Because there were a couple of cases of potential druggings. Like you never, I know there was
parties would be frightening. So
yeah, there was some, like I feel like 4 or 5 years ago there was actually like a decent amount of reports from different esports all over that women were thinking this might have happened. But like I also feel like all of the guys I can think of, all my friends in StarCraft that are, you know, a lot of guys are even maybe overprotective. like I'm not going to tell the story publicly, but I think Fear Dragon has been a very good person on multiple occasions, and maybe too good. But yeah, and I've gotten at least 1 or 2 drinks from some people that I don't actually trust, and I'll be like, I don't think I want to drink this. And I feel like 1 or 2 of my friends has actually done like, I'll drink it, I'll test it. Let you know.
if I pass out, you know.
That's very...
So, I haven't had anybody take a drink from me. Wow.
I feel like at least one person has. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so nice to hear.
I mean, I think they figured it wasn't, right. They're just kind of being funny.
Just a
if they
free
really
drink.
were like, you know what, you're right, that guy's kind of weird. Let me just drink this for you instead of like throw it out. Like, what's the waste good alcohol?
Actually, I have to agree. I think the majority, and I mean, I can only speak for my own stream because I haven't been to events or anything, but it's been multiple occasions where somebody will come in and chat and say something, and either the chat kind of shuts it down, or I'll get a message, hey, is this guy creeping you out? So I'm pretty proud of, from my perspective, I'm pretty proud of them. So
yeah, it's always been the case where like, okay, there's this one really stupid thing, but it's inevitable and male dominated stuff. But like, when I played sports, like I played rugby in a mostly male team, I had to prove myself. And then when some guy the next season tried to give me shit, the other guys like backed me up. And that was the whole of like my first 2 years of StarCraft, was like questioning like, what does she even know she's talking about? Or, oh, I think she's incorrect. And other people would be like, no, actually she's pretty good. So
I wonder if that's kind of like, and I don't know if, like I said, I'm very myopic in the sense that StarCraft is one of the communities I'm deepest in, but I wonder if other games have a similar thing, or does that come something close to mainly because of how StarCraft is?
Yeah, that's what I really wonder, like League of Legends is absolutely flipping huge. And
yes. Overwatch too.
Yeah, Overwatch as well. I think if I had to guess, I know nothing really, it's that Overwatch also still has a better air, again, because it's a Blizzard run event and there's a lot of representation just inherently in the game, and they're constantly dealing with the actual in-game chat problems. They're always talking about, how to improve there and how to improve dealing with women, basically. But then say League of Legends, not just because Riot was recently outed, but just the sheer size and demographic of their fans. Although League of Legends actually has a lot of women fans. I think Dota might be the most bro in StarCraft.
Yeah, League.
I don't know. I feel
the same
like
game. Yeah,
I feel like the guys who are assholes are really like the vocal minority, because every time somebody's done that in my stream, or just like in a chat that I'm on, like if it's Home Story Cup or whatever, there's people who are not white knights, I just want to point out, but they're just like stand-up guys who are like, shut up, you're a piece of shit, and will stand up for us when we can't pay attention and we can't just like say it ourselves. Because at an event like Home Story Cup, or when Jess is casting a major WCS event, she's not reading chat. She is not responding to every single person who's typing in chat, but it's really great to see people backing her up in chat when people are saying stupid shit. And that makes me really happy, because I think most guys are pretty stand up. Like their mothers raised them right. They grew up in a good environment,
So nice of
I think there's the three categories too. I think there's the outright asshole that just says whatever. There's the person that's actually just a good guy. And then there is that white knight or nice guy. That's
just to clarify, like the white knight is like,
well, white knight's the insult that the bad guys are going to put on anyone that defends anyone.
All right.
So
I want to clarify.
I want to say, like, they're not directly assholes, but they think that it's cool to still make fun. You know what I mean? Like they'll be like, oh, get in the kitchen. Haha, just kidding. And you're like, oh.
I'd still put that in the asshole category. You're just a dumber type of asshole. That's all.
Like, are we talking about like the kind of guy who like who thought that like it's funny because he thinks everyone else will laugh, and he will say like a comment like that because it?
Yeah,
like,
of course. I mean, I feel like that's why team games are also a breeding ground of usually like why women don't want to put their voice comms on, is because I feel like generally they expect to be backed up. So, I mean, one of the big things that Overwatch has done in their announcements about these issues, and people have posted on their Reddit and stuff like that, is like, hey, other guys, like, speak up. There's 10 of you, one's the female, and then the 7 of you are males. Or I didn't do math right at all, but you get my point. like how many people in Overwatch again? I don't know. But anyways,
it's 6 to a team. Just
it's what to a team? 6? Oh yeah, I was
6 to a team.
Jesus. I haven't played that game in like 2 years, you guys.
Don't do math on stream, boys. You'll learn today.
Regardless. Well, let's say that. Yeah. Because it's often the better way to unfortunately, even if there's like, okay, so let me do math correctly this time. Even if there's 4 girls and 8 guys, okay, like I still feel like there's a heavy chance that the 4 girls won't even try and team up together. They'll just have their own comms, right? They'll be on Discord or whatever. So I really feel like team games is one of the aspects, or the lack of team games, and especially the vocal team. Like, who uses fucking voice comms in StarCraft? No one. That's
no.
who.
I actually didn't even know that was in the game until recently.
Right? Yeah, and it's been in the game since 2010. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Someone brought it up once.
But because it's such a singular game, and like you get rid of the people who like just want to have something to blame. So the first thing they blame is like the easiest target, which is a minority. And then you get rid of people that just are, have access to even calling you out on a game. The guy who you face in 1v1 can only call you out so much, whereas being on a team of guys that are being dicks to you is quite different.
It's like the group mentality, like the tribe, like. Yeah,
exactly. I always thought that was a big difference of StarCraft, is that we're oddly impersonal, right? The lack of the social element, which in a lot of ways doesn't favor us, but in some ways might.
This is actually funny that we touched on this. It's something that's been sticking in my mind with when we look at the swath of just premier events, and outside of Scarlet, there are like very few females that make it to like round of 16 or round of 32 of a premier event. And I'm curious to know from each of you, what do you think are the biggest challenges for female players to reach that cutoff point for a round of 32 or a round of 16 for a major event? I know it's a very loaded and hard question, but I'm curious to know if you...
I'll answer first, because I'm not as knowledgeable as the other two.
Sure,
so my answer will be short. I just like, there aren't a lot of guys that make it either, because like you know what I mean? Like, it's a small pool. So
yeah, I think that's probably right to the point.
When you don't have, it's not like Fortnite where there's just unlimited players. So when you have this small pool, and then there's an even smaller pool of women that play StarCraft, I think just statistically, you can get into other things like,
sure,
women are more responsible for this and that going on in life, and maybe I'm not trying to be sexist, but like, I'm a mom, so I put a lot of attention to my kids and stuff like that.
Sexist.
And no, but some people will say, oh, but the husbands nowadays are and I don't know.
Guys can raise children too.
Yeah, just to avoid that, but like, it's not uncommon in that kind of a situation for the guy to just kind of find more time for gaming. This is kind of going out there a little bit, but that's why I make time for StarCraft, because like, I want to kind of change that statistic a little bit, but I just think it's just a numbers thing. But I don't know.
Like, I was trying to distill it to like, to you, like, there's the numbers of it, statistically the numbers, and then also the time factor, where you think, or at least it's perceived that men have.
I think it's just, there's just not a lot of females playing anyway. So
Sure.
Yeah. If you're outnumbered,
I think it's mostly just the numbers. There's going to be other situations, but
I guess it then brings up the second question, which is how would a gaming company increase those numbers? So obviously Blizzard wants, and any gaming company would want half their population to be women if they could.
But here's what I wanted to, before you bring that, I just wanted to bring up some context for some people. And Jess, obviously you just did a female-only tournament, but over the past years, there have been a few female-only tournaments, but the participation of it, I think the highest participation we've ever had in a female tournament that's been recorded anyways is 2014 Ladies of StarCraft. That was 32 women, won by Celendis. And then again, the female StarCraft League, and this is not including the ESL like Go for Female cups, because they're just scattered all over the place. Female StarCraft League in 2017, which is probably one of the most recent, was 18 participants, and that was won by, I don't know, how do you say it? ESChamp? This was in the EU.
ESChamp, yeah.
ESChamp. But we actually haven't had an offline female only tournament since
we had one.
CG?
Yeah, no. So sorry. So MSI Women's StarCraft League, which was 2015. won by Aphrodite. So that was Korea only. And that
there was one in Bucharest.
And then China had one, which was 10K prize pool, but only 6 women were participating. And that was won by Aphrodite as well.
Damn.
And that was 2011.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
So that's actually the largest prize pool ever recorded in Team Liquid history for female-only tournaments. And that was the Zowie Divina 10K tournament with 6 players only, offline in China. So
I kind of remember that actually.
That was like, that's when obviously StarCraft and its up and coming. Like I'm pretty sure that was Wings of Liberty.
Yes.
It'd have to be Wings of Liberty.
Yeah.
And then
I think Aphrodite has won literally every offline female tournament.
Well, there were really only 2 offline.
No, there are more. There were. It was either IESF did an offline tournament.
Oh yes, that was in there. Yes, I did see it. There was.
Yeah,
there was the IESF. I remember that one too. So participation usually is not like the highest.
Yeah.
So
well,
anyway.
I've been pretty happy with the Banshee sign up. It's not really set in stone as every 2 weeks because it actually hasn't been. First of all, there's only been 3 of them too, so it's not like people expect them, and it's not like I've done a particularly good job advertising. Like I think the last one we did, I made the bracket in the Machino like on Wednesday. It was done on Saturday. So, but we had, I think, more than 60 players. I think there was partial round of 32, but I could remember misremembering. But like, regardless of 16 players, I'm actually still pretty happy with that because the amount of people that even play in a tournament that's open when they already assume they're going to lose is already really low. And then beyond that, you get the woman, and then beyond that, you get women who want to admit that they're women. I mean, there's always like, I had no idea there was an ex-GM in Toronto, for instance. There's always people that are like, you must be the highest ranked woman right now, and I'm like, that we know of. Like, I don't know who's on the Korean GM, NA GM. Like, we don't know everyone, right? So
hidden female players.
Yeah,
there's
always
women that don't want the publicity or the attention.
Yeah, and then there are women who also don't agree with the idea. I'm sure there's at least one or two. Yeah, there's at least 1 or 2 who just are like, look, I don't agree with it personally, and that's fine. But that's another reason they wouldn't join. So, but yeah, the participation thing is just, I think it is still just bound by the constraints and of both the statistics, as Atira was saying, and just what leads to those statistics, while these society's pressure on women to usually not be female or not be gamers, not be female, that'd be a trick. But to not be gamers, even though all of us generally have a gaming backstory, there's still, think of like your cousins, your workmates or whatever. I'm guessing they don't have the same thing. And then just in general, women aren't really supported to be competitive. So that's like a whole other issue on top of just being into gaming, into casual gaming. And then when they are into casual gaming, they're usually tested about what casual game. People will always be like, well, 49% of gamers are actually women. And then everyone will say, well, they're including Candy Crush. So it doesn't really count. And you're like, well, I didn't realize Candy Crush wasn't a fucking game. All right, cool. Thanks, man. So like, yeah. And then they're not really promoted to be competitive. And then all the other things that happen when they finally reveal that they're a woman with competitive desires, and then all the shit that they have to deal with. I mean, Scarlett, is really truly like a miracle in many regards. And like the fact that she actually just she was super, super talented. I hate it because when I talk about how talent doesn't exist, she said she made GM in a week, and I was like, and then that she actually did have like the fortitude to just like kind of blaze a path and be like, fuck it, like I'll do it. Like, I love how nonchalant it was so unlikely. It was so like, and everyone knows her personality, right? So you imagine like this, especially back when she first started, like she was super shy, didn't really do very much. She was always kind of like, didn't want to do videos, and yet she did decide to put herself out there and win StarCraft tournaments. Like that all is very rare for a man. And then to expect a woman to do it, I mean, what do you expect? So how do you get people to do better, I guess, is the next question.
So tying something, especially for female, you mentioned about some women who don't believe in it personally. And this is something that I've had debates of not necessarily StarCraft, but gaming in general, the concept of a female-only tournament. To you, what's the benefit to doing a female-only tournament? Like, what's the goal?
Can I rewind though before we get into that?
Absolutely. Sorry. Sometimes I see threads and I'm like, I want to chase this thread. Where does this go? Yo.
Okay, so back to your question of why aren't there more?
The challenges.
I would say the reason why there's not that many females is maybe just exposure. I just don't think we have enough people in our lives to tell us about StarCraft. You know, even
like
back
role models, like
just like so when I first got introduced to StarCraft, it was actually in 2010 when I was dating this guy, and Wings of Liberty just come out, and that was the first time I ever heard of StarCraft. You know what I mean? And that was like my senior year. We were like graduating high school, like that kind of thing. So it's just about like going out there and like telling your nieces, your girlfriends, your grandmas about StarCraft and getting them, you know, playing.
Bubba, play StarCraft.
But also it's like there's different things that are set up for students too. A lot of women are students, they're working jobs, they've got, you know, a life plan in order. I don't know very many women who grew up thinking I want to be a pro gamer, because that was not a title that existed back in the day. You know, maybe in 20 years or so, because, you know, kids are growing up now knowing that this is a career option. You know, maybe there are women who are going to aspire for it, but for a lot of us who came in late, it's just like there's very little that we can do right now. And so if you're talking about like NA versus Europe, there's a lot of stuff that support students and people who are unemployed in Europe as well. You look at a lot of the pro gamers right now, they live with their parents. They take government benefits because they get paid to be unemployed, basically. And all of that allows them to pursue something like StarCraft because they have a pretty cushy, you know, financial.
Is that like the secret to becoming pro? Like I feel like you just revealed like the secret. I need to get
yeah. You guys don't know about this? Yeah, no, there's a lot that go towards people who are unemployed, but also if you want to be a student, like the government will pay you to go to school. So then you never really have to worry about your tuition or having to pay off student loans. You can just go back to school whenever you want if you are European, and that goes for many different European countries. And
that's like Scandinavian countries, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and that's why you see a lot more European pros in StarCraft versus NA pros. A lot of the NA pros have a lot of pressure to go to school, to have a career, to, you know, move out of their parents' homes and stuff like that. So if you're female, you're probably in that same boat where you are pressured to go to school to make something of yourself that is not gaming related because parents don't really know about this. And so then it's like, if you're really going to make it, you have to have been making it for a few years. And then you come out to your parents and you say, hey, I'm actually doing this now, and I'm actually having some success with it. So just wanted to let you know that this isn't just like a phase.
Is that on top of what she's talking about, because I think like some people would be like, what's the difference between that and like the guy? You know, it's really great to hear is, you know, like, how do you think you'll have children?
Yes, that was gonna be my question. I was like, do you ever get the pressure to like, all right, well, you're gonna, you know, settle down and have kids?
Yeah,
like, is that a thing that comes still in 2018?
Yeah, I think
my
so.
mom asked me about it the other day.
Well, yeah, maybe, especially cultures, right? But like, but that is also kind of like, it's almost like a unconscious, subconscious thing where like the whole line of things to do in America kind of is what Annie was saying, because we don't have a lot of fallbacks like maybe some European countries do. But then on top of that, it's like, well, you have to have a career, you have to be settled in your career by the time you're 25, so that you can have kids by the time you're 26, and then you can actually be like, you know, you can be a younger mom, or at worst, okay, you're gonna have to have a good career by the time you're 35, because by the time you're 35, well, then we all know that eggs start disappearing or some shit like that, and then you're never gonna have kids. So like, what, like, where's the plan here? You're like, oh, I don't have a plan, and that's just not
StarCraft.
I feel like it's not as common an answer from a woman, regardless of what their actual desires are to be. But that, like, well, I don't worry about that schedule. They'll just be like,
yeah, a lot of women I know have their plan. They have their idea of what they want their lives to be.
Well, they gotta get a boyfriend, and they gotta get a husband, and they gotta get a wedding, and then, or reverse that, and then they gotta get babies, and they have to make sure that they're healthy for their babies. And it's like, wow, I feel like this can actually be done in like different timelines, but apparently not. Oh God.
Right. But also, like, StarCraft is one of those games where it takes a lot of time commitment. You have to study it, you have to practice it. Back when I was really heavily grinding StarCraft, I was playing maybe 8 to 10 hours a day. And after 5 months, I made masters. But can you imagine that, to get to GM? Like, you really have to grind. And that's like not doing anything. That was like me doing like physical therapy, and I couldn't work at the time, and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So I was filling that time with StarCraft. And that's what it requires. It requires you to live at your parents' home, be on financial assistance, and not do anything but play StarCraft. And people don't get that for some reason. And it's like, the time commitment isn't there for a female pro unless they're okay with that lifestyle. And a lot of females are not. And that's fine.
Does that mean for a female, there might be a level of where you'll have to sacrifice that parental, dream kind of thing? Like, Atiri, you're obviously a mother. Well, not obviously, you said so.
Obviously.
Gee, thanks. Right after my 30th birthday.
Well, did you have that kind of pressure? Like, you didn't play StarCraft while you were in high school, but you picked it up after like that time. Give me a peep into the world of being a mother, playing StarCraft,
Well, I don't really not that I don't go out, but like, I have a couple close friends. They live maybe a good 40 minutes away or so. So we get together every now and then, but like, I don't go out partying on weekends. I don't go watch movies. Like, this is my hobby. This is my, I don't know, extracurricular activity, whatever. So, and I don't even spend that much time on it. Like, I still don't have a lot of time, to be honest. Like, I'm going to be in platinum for a long time, if I'm being honest with myself, because I'll never get even 4 hours a day just to grind out games ever. But I just find little pieces of time. StarCraft, though, like, it kind of depends what your goal is. Like, my goal is not to become a grandmaster player. I just want to play the game and improve where I can. And I still enjoy playing it, like, just for fun. Like, I'm trying to get better, but like, I'm not upset. I mean, sometimes I can be dramatic and feel like, oh, I'm still in gold, or I can't get past platinum 3, but like, deep down inside, I'm just happy to have time to play the game. So it kind of depends. I don't know. It depends what your goal is.
It's very true. And kind of like tangent, but similar idea, because we were talking about like being pros and being competitive. But I will like chip in here and say that there is very much so fear in women specifically about how they will look. Because we're talking about competitors, but let's also talk about hosts and interviewers, translators, content creators, right? Like the people who don't just have to be good at the game, and even that has, an age limit supposedly for everyone. And that's a whole other issue, but very, like, I mean, I've talked to the women who do hosting that are very popular, I guess women in this specifically, but definitely talked to them, and every single one of them so far has said like, oh, I don't want to admit, I don't actually say I'm over 30. I don't actually say my age. I will ask the graphic artists or the directors to not include my birth date or my age, because they actually have had issues of being not stereotyped, what's the word?
Ageist, or like
ageist, yes, prejudice, there we go, prejudice because of their age. So that's another issue that just affects the woman in the industry. And then kind of tying it back into like, you know, Annie was saying about how there's not many role models, and even a couple people in chat. Like if you don't have those people who are 35 or even up to 40 as we get older in esports, who are on the desk or on the camera, then like who is going to be there to prove that like, this can be a career? Hey, this can be something that the woman should be doing along with all the other guys. They're also advancing in age. So that's definitely an issue. I know that 100%.
I think it's and I only vaguely have an idea of that from it, that women generally do not like to reveal their age in like the dating scene in general. I don't know if this is true. I can only hear this through my friends who date, but I didn't realize it translates even from a career. And I imagine anybody in talent, whether you're acting or whatever, this is kind of like a truism that your age can affect the perception of whether you're going to be young and beautiful for very much longer.
Yes.
Like that would be my shot in the dark there. So is there a pressure? Actually, I'm probably going to answer my own question, but is there this pressure to achieve a certain level of status or whatever in StarCraft before a certain age?
Yes. I think so. I think that affects everyone. But just like, you know, because no one wants to be the guy. You don't want to be a guy who quits his job at 27 and then doesn't make it by the time he's 32 or whatever, right? Right. But yeah, I think that you know, because of the whole children thing we were talking about, maybe it affects women a little bit more.
On a different timeline,
I think women are also a lot more scared in general of losing out on a career path because they did this. Whereas maybe some men would say, like, I think I could come back to this in 3 years, especially in America, where already taking maternity leave is seen as like a detriment to your career. I can't imagine how many women think when they're 22, I'll take the 2 years off, try and prove myself and give myself till I'm 30. Not many women are going to do that.
No, to be honest, I am exactly that, where right now I just had a birthday and I'm like, okay, Annie, time to, get back to your career. You can't do StarCraft anymore. I mean, how long are you going to do this for? You said 1 year. It's been 2 years. It's going on 3 years. It's going. What are you going to do?
Scale.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, I don't know, Annie. I mean, I'm really enjoying myself. I like the community. I really want to do
something. You have a conversation with yourself in the third person.
And I'm like, no, Annie, you got to get your shit together. Whereas you can't climb the career ladder anymore. So it's definitely something that I could see a lot of people struggling with, even the guys in StarCraft. I mean, I've talked to a lot of pro players. They get a lot of questions about, what are they going to do after StarCraft? What are they going to do when they retire? When blah, 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 right? And a lot of them are like, I don't know, go back to school, study business. I don't know what I'm interested in. I don't I can't even tell you how many have no idea what they're going to do. And they're like getting on, they're getting into their late 20s. And I'm just like,
I love always talking about age when there's like older people in the room, right? Because like almost everyone is older than me as far as the casters go. In fact, everyone is older than me. No, Nate's not. Nate's not. But anyways, like a lot of people, other people are, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm like, I never say this, but I know people who do, where they're like, I don't know, 30's coming up, man. That just sounds really scary. And then like the 35-year-old is like, yeah, that was scary 5 years ago.
All downhill.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a scary topic for all.
Anybody, I think, in esports in general is age.
Yeah, they all know it's going to happen.
Sure.
I did want to tie back to the idea of female-only tournaments, because I think this is a very divisive topic for some people, where they're like, I don't believe in it, especially in video games. I think specifically in video games, the idea of a female-only tournament. But I want to know what it means to you in general, or if you do and don't believe in it. Jess, you ran a female-only tournament. What was the motivation or the goal behind running a female-only tournament?
Well, I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, I just want something to do. Well, it's one of those things where like you sit down and you write out a list of things to do for like your stream and for StarCraft, and some of that includes photo tutorials and whatever. But then I was also like, like there's no more women only tournaments. The last one, I was thinking about it immediately after the last one was driven into the ground.
What was the last one?
Still in a StarCraft, so I don't want to be too cruel, but I've heard not great things about your ran there, man, in case you're watching this. So that sucks. But anyway, so I heard that and I was like, I feel like I could do this better. It doesn't sound like it's that tough of a job to the point that you might what's the word? Bother people, annoy people, to put it lightly. So I was like, I could do this. But then there's a whole organizing thing. So I actually like joined the group and was like, maybe I'll bring it together. And just for a long time, I didn't do it. And I was like, I'll just do it. It's always like, it always sounds so intimidating when you do it. And you're like, it's actually not that big of a deal. So I did. And then I also have always been a supporter of women only tournaments and if I was a feminist and all those things. People on Twitch chat apparently, say that I'm a good caster as long as I keep my liberal beliefs out of the. Actually, it's a quote. But anyway, so I really want to do it, and then the Banshees had come along at this perfect time, made by Sarah. I've never actually. I feel like I forgot how to say it when I met her in France, but
what a Banshee for people who don't have context of.
So the Banshees is actually, it was just a Discord made for women who enjoy StarCraft, and then it became a Twitter, and then it's now it's a StarCraft clan on StarCraft, and then I was like, well, something's like perfect timing. I can get some support and input from other women on this, so that's why I kind of like teamed up a little bit with them and named after them to bring more attention to the whole group, and the group has been quite a success. I mean, there was one tiny little dramatic moment, but they all handled it very maturely, and it's been like a great place to be and just watch like other women actually enjoy talking to each other and playing and feeling safe enough to talk about a lot of other stuff, like talking about minorities. There's definitely a lot of LGBTQ plus who tend to feel a little bit safer amongst women, as far as I've talked to a number of people. So there's that, and then I decided to do it. So I think it's hugely helpful to a scene to have these spaces. I know Super Smash Bros has a really awesome one led by was made by Milk Tea, and I know there's got to be some other ones I just don't know much about, but I think it's really good.
For me, the female only tournaments is basically like region locking, but like more the foreigner region locking, because we can play in ours, but then we can also go and play in the guys ones too.
I see. Okay.
That's a little StarCraft politics for you guys there. Anyway, but it's basically just encouraging more women to come out. I also started like a female only tournament series, but it didn't last very long because I found it to be a little annoying to run.
She's not who I was talking about, by the way, if that's not clear in the chat.
Wait, what?
I had said that someone who previously did a female only StarCraft was kind of not great.
I think you said it was
I did one before, and I was like,
I didn't think you were talking about me.
I know, it was a joke. I said it was a him. Like, anyways.
Yeah, you said it was a guy. Yeah.
But anyway, and what I found to be annoying was just the turn up and just the females saying that they were going to participate and then either not showing up or dropping out last minute, or a lot of issues like that I never had.
Players do that all the time.
When I never had that when dealing with pro players. I don't know about like
you never dealt with any players.
Maybe. But I haven't been doing it as long as Jess. She's obviously dealt with it much more than me. But it was just that kind of stuff that actually discouraged me from continuing it, because I was like, why am I doing this if nobody actually wants to play?
Yeah.
And then I have always encouraged women to participate in open bracket stuff, going to just turn up at literally anything. I think being competitive is great. I've always encouraged other women to be competitive. I think that, like, where we are right now, we are the role models, as narcissistic as that might sound. But, like, there are kids that are still discovering esports and video games, and especially with StarCraft being free to play, I like to think that some of those are girls. So,
I think you're right.
Yes.
I want them to kind of come up seeing women being competitive and seeing that there's a place, but also that they're not afraid of going out to get that male money. You know, like, I really need them to start fucking stealing some money from these men. You know, and that's also like kind of a flipped issue with women's tournaments. Is like, in the past, I've heard that there have been men who have shown up in other esports as well and been like, oh, I'm female or I'm trans, and they would just take money from female only tournaments. So there's that problem as well.
There is that.
I don't know too much about that.
I basically rely on word of mouth for StarCraft, which works out pretty fine, because, like, another point we kind of didn't address is that, hold on before I lose my train of thought, is that StarCraft's really small, and oh fuck, I just lost it.
Like, we watch it happening, like, in real time.
I felt it slipping away too, and I was like, damn it, I should have just shouted it immediately as it came in my mind.
Was it about male money?
Because there's not a lot of I feel like the amateur scene is entirely dominated by pros. That's I found it, you guys. But, like, so I know that there's other issues in other esports, don't get me wrong. Like, Overwatch League has no amateur stuff whatsoever, right? Well, I guess Contenders, but, like, let's be real. Riot literally banned anyone from doing games without their tournaments without their permission. But, like, StarCraft 2 also, like, you run a $10 tournament and, like, Bly will show up. Like,
what?
Like, what do you like? There's already so many people scrambling for money that are already so known that, like, to expect a guy like, hell, even Soul, who by now is kind of a bit of a household European Terran, I'd still say that he's, like, still scrambling to make cash, and he's pretty damn good. But you extend that even further, even with the region lock, and you got your top 64 guys figured out, and then the bottom 128 would love to play in a couple tournaments without being butted in for first and second prize, which for those tournaments, that's the only prize it is.
Yep.
And instead, like, 4 pros sign up, and they're like,
well, rip.
Yeah, you know, you can become a bit of a ladder hero first, and then if you're really, really diligent, then I guess you could prove yourself on the ladder. But yeah, that's the point I was trying to make.
I just want to add that what was your question again? People, it was women that don't agree with the tournament?
Well, anyone that doesn't, what is your position on it?
Just make sure I'm answering the right question. I just, like, I thought it was a good idea. I mean, there's tons of reasons, but my thought process was, if there's any way to get more people interested in the game, or to get even a couple more people to play the game again, or to spark anybody's interest, what's the harm? Like, the people who disagree with this tournament, like, I don't know, don't you like StarCraft? Like, don't you want to see, you know?
I think one of the prevalent discussion arguments, or even just playing devil's advocate, is that video games in general don't have a gender physical difference. In like, you know, unlike maybe physical sports or
that's the point everyone always makes, but I think Annie nailed it with her comment of neither does it for men playing against Koreans, but we had to protect players. It really is. And we do that for every sport, and we've done it forever. We do it by age group, we do it by region, we do it by whatever.
By weight.
By weight class. So, like, we do it by weight class down to, like, 6 pounds per class. Like, it's ridiculous to think. And you don't do it because it's not, and I think this is where the argument falls apart. You don't do it because they can't physically or mentally do it. You do it because you need to breed the culture within that segment. So there's no reason that a Chinese or a Korean hockey player cannot be as good as a Canadian hockey player, but it's not the culture. So we have an A league where 8 teams are going to play, then there's a B league, and then there's a C league. And in the international play, they're going to be in the C league. So Korea recently won, I think, the C league, basically. So that's something for them to do, and that's going to be encouragement, and that's going to get it into their culture that this is a thing you can do. Yeah. And then eventually you're going to get more Korean. I think there's been 2 in the NHL, but eventually you're going to get more for that. Yeah, aren't you proud of it?
And the idea of fostering it was definitely something that I didn't.
And that's it. And it works. And I think the biggest thing too is it works. So particularly for male and female stuff, they've done this for poker. They've done it for chess. Chess worked like crazy. So
is there female only? There's female
only chess. There's even female grandmaster ratings, which some people in the chess community debate that. But there's definitely female only tournaments. And it really started with, there were basically 3 sisters that were kind of the first international and grandmaster female players. Once you had a few role models to show that they could compete on par with some of the top men, you only needed 1 or 2 of them. Polgar was probably the best. And now there's thousands of women ranked above a 2000 chess rating, when about 100 years ago, there was maybe 2.
I think one of the pertinent questions I asked with that is that the idea comes to exposure, right? Like a tournament survives on the amount of people watching, right? And if you have a tournament that is predominantly female, don't you run that risk of that tournament just not being watched and it not being sustainable? And
I would strongly disagree with that. And maybe this is just this could just be my lack of experience.
No, please.
But if, like, let's say I'm going to participate in I haven't had a chance to play in the Banshee tournament, unfortunately. But if I'm going to play in a tournament and maybe I'm excited about it and I tell this and that person, oh, I'm playing this tournament, I've never played in it before. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know you played StarCraft or something. And you bring more people to, like, I just, when I'm scrolling through Twitch and I see these hundreds of thousands or people playing and watching Fortnite and all these other games. And then sometimes StarCraft is so low on the list and there's just a couple thousand people. And we're trying to have this tournament and, maybe do some outreach and get people excited about something, anything. I don't see the harm in that at all. Like,
I don't think it's harmful at all. Not outside of StarCraft, in any game doing any esport game doing a female only tournament, I feel like there is that dynamic where you may not be able to sustain a large prize pool because of the viewership numbers,
right. Yeah. So funnily enough, I feel like one of the common initial responses to a female only anything is you're only doing this because you want publicity. So it's kind of weird how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's also one of those things
I don't look at it as a bad thing though for this game. Like, I love StarCraft. I want to see so many people playing it, and if people want to say it's for publicity, whatever, I don't care.
Right, exactly. There's that whole argument. Like, okay,
maybe people are going to watch and get excited about the game again and want to start playing, or I don't know. On
a point, there have actually been tournaments who do that just specifically for the publicity too.
Yeah. And it's surprising how little you have to do it to get people to then flip over. Like I actually typed in chat earlier, but we did it for, we always had LOL social events in Toronto, and you'd get about 30% of the group was women. And then we would do a LOL tournament and only like 5-10% of the group was women. But we knew that from the socials where they were playing pickup games and stuff, the women weren't any worse than the guys showing up or anything like that. So we did literally one female only tournament. And then the very next open tournament we did, 30% women. So you just needed the one thing to break through to like go be competitive. And then once they were like, oh, I like that. And then
they were competitive, and they just weren't comfortable being competitive.
I think it was both.
That's my hope.
I think it was both. Yeah. I think it was them. It was probably what Zombie Grub had mentioned earlier in the show, which is when you're on a team dynamic, you don't want to be one. You're often the one blamed, and some people internalize it, and they're like, I don't want to be the one to let it down. And the guy in LOL, the guy in Bronze 3, doesn't think that, but the girl in Gold 3 does.
Yeah.
So, and that makes a really big difference. But by breaking that through and be on teams with people you're comfortable with. And once you're used to that dynamic, now you might be comfortable.
It is this really weird, like, there's always that conversation, not just in esports, right? Where like, but there's a lot of people who question the female soccer league, right, for like America, and how the woman only soccer team is for US like dominates, and they're arguing they should be paid better, but then the people would be like, well, you aren't watched as much, so like why would you be paid better, why would you even exist, so on and so forth. And lots of people come up with statistics that prove that they did get watched quite a bit and blah blah blah. But the point is, like, when it comes down to it, I think a lot of these endeavors are a bit altruistic. I'm using the right word to begin with, like especially when like an already set scene is created. But then I don't think you can deny that they don't eventually get publicity. Just like, you know, I think the biggest complaint a lot of the times about region locking or gender locking in this case, I guess, is that you know, it's not the highest competition, so why would I want to watch? And it's like, why is college football so fucking, you know, excitable, right? And it's like people will watch a lot of different things. So I don't, yeah, there's always the issue of like, well, is this even something that they should do that would actually gain a profit for a community that already maybe isn't getting a lot of profit? Let's say StarCraft 2 is actually dying and there's no money in Blizzard for StarCraft 2. Why would they take it upon themselves to put $5,000 into a decent only prize pool? A lot because Blizzard prides itself on, you know, on being diverse and whatnot. So maybe it starts off a bit altruistic, but I think eventually with the proper narratives, proper advertising, like there's views for any type of tournaments, including, you know, certain age tournaments or certain gender tournaments or certain region tournaments.
I think the right caster can make anything interesting. Like you know, when Zombie Grub cast the Banshee tournament, there's that, you know, there's a few high, very good level players, but I mean, it's interesting either way, but like, you know, the right caster just makes it interesting. I think Zombie Grub does a good job of that. Not that the Banshee tournament needs to be made interesting, but like it's not boring. Like hundreds of people enjoyed watching it. It was, you know, very nice to see.
I feel like sometimes you watch it in esports, again, talking specifically about that, where you see these tournaments like the $10,000 ones, and it really feels like they only wanted publicity. And then when they don't get it that much, of course, their first answer is, I guess women aren't appreciated. And it's like the same problem with like movies, right? Like when that woman-only movie didn't make a lot of money, I guess it's because people aren't ready for woman-only movies. And it's like, well, what if the movie was bad?
It was a bad movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that element to the truly the not genuine people who do these type of tournaments for sure. But I think if you got passionate people who do it, and you know they really believe in it, and again, like you got some confident people to actually make it interesting, then I don't know if the viewer thing has to be an issue, I guess.
All right. I just want to, we're just for those of you out there, I want to make sure I'm very mindful of everyone's time. So we do only have a few more questions because we've been having, this episode is definitely longer than most episodes. Yeah. And I think I think it's worth to have this kind of discussion in the first place. But I did want to bring in the idea of what is like the most persistent stereotype or misconception you continue to hear, and has it improved at all in the past 8 years of StarCraft 2?
Women only play Zerg.
Yes. Oh my God, I get that all the time.
Has that changed though, other than Zombie Grub? That does seem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, it's already kind of a joke. Anyways, I wasn't there.
Is that because like Kerrigan? Like, is that like where's that come from?
No, it's actually because it, as much as it is a silly stereotype and it's certainly not true. Again, there's also that issue of like we don't know how many women there are playing.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
There was a few high-profile ones. So.
Right, a lot of the high-profile ones were Zerg, just coincidentally.
Yeah.
And Aphrodite was like the only Terran. And I don't know.
And I also want to point out, again, there are women out there that play but don't want to be public. So they don't stream and they don't do this or that. They don't participate in tournaments, whatever, right? They just play at home. Maybe they play with their brothers or whatever.
Yeah,
so it's like maybe, which this has been my theory for a very long time, there are certain personality types that go with certain races, and maybe those are the ones that stream.
That's interesting.
I have always had a theory about this, and I want to like put out a big thing because I want to know.
Can you please give us the TLDR of what each personality is?
I like this.
I haven't developed it. I haven't developed it because I want to do like a big poll where like people submit their Briggs-Myers tests, you know, an idea of like where people are and
like
their
all the
mindset.
different tests, like what's the horoscope and what's their love language.
I clearly, obviously think that Zergs are the better, superior people. Not race.
How balanced
we all know Protoss is the superior race, but anyways, so maybe that's why is the more outgoing girls that are willing to put on their stream, turn on the camera, are Zerg, and then therefore men are like, oh, why does every girl play Zerg? Maybe every girl that you see, aka the 3 girls that are streaming StarCraft right now, are playing Zerg because they're the ones that want to play and stream. You ever thought about that?
Weirdly enough, there was a time where I feel like there was more Terrans. But yes.
Well, I think early on, Terran was just 45% of the population because it was like I think literally because it was the race.
That's what you started off with.
You started off with,
It was the campaign race, so it made more sense. But I think that's it. And there could be a role model effect too, that maybe if you were a girl, then you saw other girls that were, and then you picked that. I don't know.
Or Kerrigan.
Yeah, or Kerrigan.
I didn't have any of that.
You know the woman role model in Legacy of the Void was? That wasn't Kerrigan. That is say for Protoss is what I meant to say for Protoss. It was that really annoying bitch who was like, "No, guys, I'm fine. Don't cut my cords. I'll be fine." And then what happened? She's not fine. No one's that as a role model.
That wasn't, but okay, when I first started playing, I played Protoss because the guy I was dating at the time played Protoss and he showed me Protoss. So I actually started out with that, and then I was like, teach me another race, and he taught me Zerg, and I was like, I like dinosaurs, so I just kept playing Zerg. It wasn't
like a 5-year-old.
I always wondered if
like Protoss because they're robots, but I like Zerg more because they're dinosaurs.
Most people say they're bugs, Annie, but you went with dinosaurs, so I just applaud.
They're dinosaurs, and Ultralisk is a souped up Triceratops. It is Triceratops on steroids, okay? That want to love you and hug you.
It took me the longest time to realize that Kerrigan all this time is actually in heels, like this entire time. I didn't know. That was something I made points.
I noticed that right away. I was impressed.
Me too.
I was like,
how would I walk if I had the same thing?
I've talked about this before, but the best thing is that Abathur, who helps evolve her and change her, at one point was like, girl, you know what you need? Heels. Finest evolution ever, and that booty. Lift.
I know, right?
You looking all fine, Kerrigan. Time to add some heels. Yeah.
Like when she runs, there's no what's it called? The impact from running at that on your spine. That doesn't
cushions it.
There you go.
Just carries her on that creep.
Yeah. God.
All right. So I have a specific question for you, Zombie Grub. Do you, and this is like there's obviously a lot of talk in general industries with women being paid less than men. Does that ever translate for you?
Wait, what? Women being played?
Paid.
Oh, I heard played as well, and I was like,
oh, wow.
Like fighting games. I was like, everybody plays women in fighting games. You gotta look at the booty.
So paid
less than men in industry jobs where they do the same work. So did you ever find that to be a concern or discussion or possibility within StarCraft that when you're negotiating salaries with organizers?
So no, just like TLDR, no. With Base Rate TV, I knew the finances, and initially we split evenly, anyways. And eventually we didn't. It was because he did more work straight up, and I didn't know how much my co-casters were paid for WCS Challenger years ago. Not this time, but years ago. So maybe it was different back then. But they all get paid the same? Question mark. I actually don't know if I'm supposed to say that. For certain events that we did, and then for other events where there was more of a tiered structure, it was definitely more because they were experienced than I was.
Yeah, I'd imagine that there's like, and this is with any kind of talent, that certain talent can command higher prices than other talent. But sometimes, you know, when you try to measure.
Right, yeah. Well, there's so many things that go into that, right? There's the inherent bias of the person you're negotiating with, which is very possibly a big deal, that they actually are subconsciously sexist. There's also the idea that women are far less likely to negotiate in the first place.
Oh yeah,
right. So like when I was negotiating, I had to talk to my dad, who was very good at negotiating. My mom's not very good at it, and he even suggested to me, and I didn't take his advice, but he actually suggested that I should kind of slip in the fact that I am a woman, like doing this in the scene. I'm like the only one. Because he was like, well, that's negotiating. That's like that's actually something you have to leverage.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really feel comfortable doing this. But as I said, like, yeah, the guys, they seem to tend to be a little more flaunting. But in StarCraft, it's a little weird because you'll talk to a lot of the casters and they'll say, I didn't really negotiate because I'm just so happy I get to cast StarCraft. And you're like, oh, but also like negotiate, maybe.
Darling,
they're full of shit. No, they did, because I know I have a lot of female friends that work in esports doing things with like other companies, and they have to actually have lawyers negotiating for them because they go, I need this, this, and this. This is what they need to offer me, and if not this, then that, you know. And they have to have other people negotiate for them. Like, it's really hard for you to negotiate yourself because you don't know what you can ask for. You don't know where you can go.
I think that's like
so
where agents come from a lot.
It's hard when it is a special talent situation because there's no way to negotiate in that situation without just coming off as arrogant or overrating yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of people.
In esports, there's also this, like, a lot of esports, even like a really big esports, have this feeling of like, well, aren't we all in it together, guys? Like, why do you need to?
Are you here for passion?
But I can't without naming name. Well, fuck. Actually, can I do this without naming names?
Just name the name.
Oh shit! I like because there's only so many women.
Just do it.
Oh God. I know for a fact that someone was lowballed extremely compared to this person's potential teammates, when at one time they were very, very much more popular than their potential teammates, and as such they did not do that thing.
Like, if you can read between the lines, you
kind of have to have somebody that knows what they're doing and knows how to negotiate more efficiently.
It was so obviously because she was a woman, because they thought that they could get, because it's not usually like, oh, she's a woman, we can pay her less. Like it's oh, she's a woman, so she won't negotiate. Right. And it's a slight difference, but both are still like like ground in sexism.
Yeah.
And that's I'm guessing what was her situation. So I know it's happened for sure at least once. And I'm sure if you talk to other more experienced ladies, that they will say that they have talked to or had the same experience. So
I'm perfect. That was the insight I was trying to hope. I'm curious. I was always curious if that played a factor. And the negotiating one's the one I totally didn't even think about, the whole idea where a woman may not be considered a good negotiator. So a male hirer will be like, all right.
There's actually a lot of studies across the board of different career paths and different positions where they've asked women about that, and also companies about that. So that's just like a general thing, is that women don't really negotiate, or they're bad at negotiating. And I think that is beyond esports. That's just having, I don't know, classes, resources available for, I really have no idea what it may be, the personality of these women. I really have no idea. You can't make someone aggressive, you know?
I don't know if it's aggression needs to be when I think of negotiation, I never really think about aggression. I think about,
You have to be firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Firm is like a more aggressive trait.
I think there's like the undervaluing. I think I would emphasize more. I think some people undervalue, and not just women, just people in general.
Undervaluing yourself, that you won't even ask for it in the first place.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like that can be a problem. That like
assertive.
Assertive.
Say what you want, and also being willing to walk away. Like
that is the hardest.
Biggest thing in esports.
That's funny because if you try and negotiate, you're worried that they're like, okay, there's 20 other casters that all really want this.
Exactly.
I'll go to them.
Go away. But that's true in like the corporate world too. That it's
yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
You have. If I'm going to give you more money, I have to think that if I don't, you will leave. If I don't think you will leave, then why am I giving you more money?
Exactly.
It's so true.
It's true.
Yeah, that's
so
the way it works.
So true.
Links first.
Exactly.
And this, and those of you guys out there, this applies to you too. So don't think this is like a woman only thing. Like, like everyone needs to learn better negotiation in general.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't be scared to lie. I got this much at the last event, or my last job was paying me this much, or I get an alternate offer for this much.
It's all the alternate offer. I like that one.
That should be a lie. That should always be a lie.
That's to show that you're in demand.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Dave, do you want to hit us up with the
life skills, boys?
So that's just advice from a bank guy. Just do that. But let's leave the heavy stuff. Let's go to the silly stuff and start wrapping up.
Yeah, let's.
So we asked this question to everyone, or at least lately, which is, what is the best thing that you've purchased for under $100 in your life? And don't say StarCraft 2 because that's obvious.
I haven't purchased Heart of the Swarm or Legacy of the Void.
Let me open up my Amazon.
No way, I did buy Heart of the Swarm. Oh, damn it. All right, under $100 that I haven't regretted.
Well, that's like the best thing that you got.
Yeah, the best thing you've ever purchased under $100. The one thing. And it can be an experience. It doesn't have to be like a tangible item. It can be an experience. It can be like a
prostitute. I'm just kidding.
It's here about 2 probes.
I've got one of those too.
I have more than 2.
Was it in the same purchase?
Yes, they were on sale.
Was it when they did the 75% off thing?
It was like a few months ago. I don't know. I saw a sale and I thought, why not?
They're great.
But why are they the best for you?
Wait, what?
Why are they the best thing under $100?
What do you mean? They're my probes.
Yeah,
right.
I don't understand.
With them, she can collect more money.
Well, I just mean, like, why is it meaningful? Like, that was my curiosity.
I don't know any Protoss that isn't crazy about probes. I'm simple here.
Yeah, because they're sneaky little things.
Probes,
I know I am chaos.
Probes and pylons.
It took me a little while because I was thinking of StarCraft stuff. But like all my really truly cherished StarCraft things are either free, like given to me, or very expensive, like going to Korea. So, but I thought about it. My cat Apollo.
Oh.
It was $75.
Oh, that makes sense. That qualifies under $100.
Yep.
Yeah. Annie, what about you? What do you got?
I don't.
You must have something. There has to be like a thing.
The best thing I bought for under $100.
And it can't be a gift, so it can't be like valued at under 100. It has to be like purchased.
He's a real stickler on this one.
Yeah, I am. I like this question. I like this question.
Oh, I got it. Hold on.
All right. Oh, she's gonna disappear. I love when they go. People leave to go. Oh, there it is.
Oh, nice. That's a good choice.
Snorlax.
I adopted him from Japan. He was $50.
Oh,
He's my baby.
Kawaii. Oh,
I
that's
think
cute.
this is gonna be my answer, my final answer. I think maybe. Yeah.
That's good.
Let's go with it.
That's legit.
All right.
All right.
I like all my cosplays. Those have all been under 100.
You've been able to cosplay with under $100.
Yeah, have you not seen my innovation cosplay?
Oh.
All I had to do was buy a wig and glasses because we're twins. I fucking have been telling people forever that we're twins, and they're like, I don't see it. And I'm like,
he has a sister. How close do you look like his sister?
I don't look like his sister.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
She looks very Korean. She just looks like every other Korean. You've probably passed her on the street and you just didn't know it.
That's racist. But also, I had that moment in Korea where me, Jack, and Olivia were eating, and it was like near the studio, and I saw a guy that looked a lot like Innovation walking towards me from the bathroom, and I was like, Jesus, Sandra, stop being racist. And then it was Innovation, and he waved at me.
I did see Annie. I did see your Bob Ross cosplay. I actually didn't know it was you at first. So
that was under 100. All I had to do was buy a wig and beard. So cheap. It was like $20 maybe for that. It was a terrible, terrible beard. I could grow a beard better than that beard.
I
don't know to comment on that. All right, and then the last question to round us up for the night. If you had a billboard that could theoretically reach millions of people, what message, in a sentence, would you put on it? Think of it like a tweet, like 140 characters.
Is this StarCraft related?
No, you can put whatever you want on it. 140 characters. Actually, doesn't mean
complicated now.
Oh, yeah, me too. What would you put on that billboard?
StarCraft.
Yeah, you absolutely could. There's no restrictions. You can make it StarCraft.
Donate to my PayPal, alaris.se2@gmail.com. Thank you.
That is the best.
Well, that is a
Feed my Snorlax. He eats a lot.
That is a legit risk. Yeah, you could put that on the billboard.
That is so good. I don't know what I mean. I'd put something StarCraft. I'd be like, I don't even know, man. What would I put? Oh, Lordy. Tara, do you know?
The one thing I always say all the time is group hug. Anybody who watches my stream knows sometimes I'll just glance over at chat. I don't know what's going on. I see opinions. I see someone saying calm down. I don't know if they're arguing or loving each other. I just say group hug. But I think that would be good on a billboard, actually, for everybody in the world.
All right. Zombie Grub, let's
I really want to put something like sarcastic or silly, but
you can. It's your billboard. You can put whatever you want on it.
I know, but it feels like such a waste, you know, if I got a billboard up.
I know. I've never thought about this. Like, I actually have, like, serious. No, I was kind of joking.
You put your PayPal up there, all right? Don't worry, we're donating. Relax.
I'm half serious, but like serious. I don't know.
People would donate to your PayPal. That's
if you put it up on a billboard that millions of people could see, somebody would donate.
It. And include your Bitcoin, like
a
code
lot
thing,
of people
QR code. People would do that.
Someone would donate.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'll go wholesome. I'd put up StarCraft 2 as the best game ever. Download for free.
Consider that free advertising. They would love that.
Yeah. Blizzard would pay for that.
You should at least get like a referral link that you get.
Yeah. I mean, my other option was Apollo is the best cat ever, but
it's like I totally forgot that like your cat was named Apollo. I thought like Apollo, the former caster / ESL guy. Like,
he's the best cat.
He too.
She got him for $75.
Who's the best cat ever? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for sticking with us through this episode. Ladies, where can people find and follow your misadventures. Or wholesome adventures, or whatever adventures.
That's sexist.
I knew it. I damn knew it.
Oh, I get it. I got it. Okay.
All right. Annie, why'd you start? Where can they find you?
Oh, okay. Mine's is so stupid because somebody already thought of my name, so I had to go with underscores. All right. So it's Alaris, ALLARYCE _ for Twitch and 2 underscores for Twitter.
2 underscores. Someone took the first 1 underscore on Twitter.
Yes, somebody took the name and the first underscore.
Jesus.
Who was the weirdo that thought of this name? Because this is not even like a normal name.
It is pretty weird.
Yeah,
I just feel bad for all our children that will have absolutely no names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're just gonna go back. They're just gonna go back to the XXX. Hilarious XXX. You know what I mean?
The Brood War days. Oh my god, I love the Brood War tags.
Can't wait for my son to have XS Sephiroth 69.
That's gonna be taken. You know that, right?
It is taken already.
Of course it is.
I tried that.
Atira, where can they find you?
I don't use Twitter a whole lot, but you can just follow my channel if you want to. You can click on my name in the chat, and sometimes I stream. Sometimes.
One day I'll remember to put those things in the bot, so the bot will just tell us. But all right, and your bot. How do you spell your stream name, just in case someone's on the bot or
ATIRA? It's the same as
the name. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Zombie Grub, what about yourself?
You can follow me on Twitter at ZG Gaming and Twitch Zombie Grub, YouTube Zombie Grub, and my Instagram, which is full of cats, is Zombie Grub _SC.
Oh, look at Paulo.
He's looking at. What's he looking at? What is that?
Ghost.
No. And also to those who mentioned the chat, yes, we are working on making bigger text on our little things underneath the names. That will be hopefully for the next one. Okay, so we're not quite finished yet because we haven't revealed the challenger. But for VODs and for purposes of cutting the VOD, you can end it. Remember right here, Tara, cut the VOD here.
He fell asleep.
I would fall asleep too. All right.
Yeah.